All right, folks, we are live again on the Pangburn Live Radio. Today we're going to be talking about or dealing with the proposition that public debate is good for well-being. And we'll deal with all kinds of different conceptualizations and abstractions of what debate means and what we think are necessary constraints on debate. But first, I'm going to make sure everyone has this link. Let's go over to this channel. Today's topic. Now let me share with my community tab on YouTube. Yeah, but I asked. Let's go over here, post, boom. Boom, boom, boom. Excelente. Send out some invites. Scott. Did I miss? Scott, Simos. Get some invites out there. Fantastic. All righty then. So, I think we're good. I'm just going to open this window so people can see what the hell's going on. Yeah, but I asked you. Go. I need to go to this channel. Almost there. What the heck? Where did my window go? There? Oh, there we go. Perfecto. Now let's do the share. Share screen there. All right. Awesome. Gonna plug this in. All right. Here we go. Oh, we did have a bit of an audio issue last time, I hope. Trey, do you mind saying a couple words for me there? Just to make sure you're...
The topic is public debate good for well-being is the topic today.
Fantastic.
Testing.
It is coming through clear. I hope that works. Okay, yeah. Today's topic is actually not a question. It's a proposition. And the proposition is that public debate is good for well-being. And I think I shared that window, right? Yes, I did. Almost there. Okay. Okay. Yes. So at Pangburn, we promote the good faith helpful dialectic, the good faith helpful debate. And I do think that it is necessary, there are necessary constraints that must be put on debate in order for the debate to be on good foundations. And at Pangburn, right from the get-go, when we started 10 years ago, all of the discussions you've seen on the Pangburn stage are constrained by these two principles, good faith and helpfulness. By good faith, I simply mean honesty and sincerity of intentions. And by helpfulness, I think we're pretty clear on what helpfulness looks like, but it's assisting others in achieving their goals. So, and that can seem counterintuitive to what a debate is, because someone might think, well, yeah, I don't want to help my interlocutor in a debate. I want to pounce on them when the time is right and go in for the kill. That's not what we promote at Pangburn. So a good example would be of what helpfulness in debate looks like. So if we're seeing like the Jordan Peterson and Sam Harris series, the 4-part series, instead of when, let's say, Sam Harris sees Jordan Peterson struggling to make the strongest form of his argument, and Sam Harris has an idea of how he can assist Jordan in presenting the strongest form of his argument, Sam Harris will metaphorically reach out his arm and help Jordan up to present the strongest form of his argument, because Sam Harris, as an intellectual, as a as a human being who is generally an honest person, wants to, at the end of the day, engage with the strongest form of the argument that's opposing one of his views. You should want to engage with the strongest forms of opposing arguments. This is how you show that you are truly open to update. Fallibilism being the first Pangburn virtue deals directly with openness to update, not only as a prescription, but as one of the most beautiful aspects of human nature, being that nature of being open to update. So let's talk about the good faith helpful debate first, and we can eventually get into some failure modes of debate, of where we see debates fail time and time again by our own prescriptive values throughout the internet around the world. But I'll start with this bit of reading, and then we'll open up microphones, and welcome to everyone who's joined us right off the bat here. I appreciate you being here for the initial reading. It's always helpful. So public good faith helpful debate contributes to well-being in a positive manner in all three major domains: physical health, mental health, and social health. The key qualifier is good faith and helpful. Hostile, deceptive, tribal, or manipulative conflict often produces the opposite effects. So number one, physical health. Better decisions lead to better outcomes. Many physical health outcomes depend on beliefs and decisions. So, for example, whether to vaccinate, whether to smoke, whether to exercise, what foods to eat, whether to seek medical treatment, how to respond to public health crises. Good faith and helpful debate allows competing ideas to be tested publicly, increasing the probability that better information wins over worse information. When populations make more accurate decisions, physical health tends to improve. And remember, we are talking within this little subsection, when we're talking about better or worse, we're talking directly by way of the metric of physical health. Then reduction of costly errors. Bad ideas can be physically dangerous. Examples: medical misinformation, dangerous pseudoscience, harmful cult practices, unsafe public policies. Public debate creates opportunities to identify errors before they produce widespread harm. Stress reduction through trust. When people perceive institutions and communities as transparent and willing to discuss disagreements openly, trust can increase. Higher social trust is associated with better health outcomes, lower chronic stress, and greater longevity in human populations. So this is something, obviously, in the Pangburn universe, we try to cultivate here. You know, the idea when people perceive institutions and communities like ours as transparent and willing to discuss disagreements openly, trust can increase, and I think has increased in our community. I feel like we do have a lot of trust in this community. Mental health. Intellectual humility reduces dogmatism. Good faith debate encourages people to recognize that they might be wrong. This can reduce black and white thinking, catastrophizing, ideological possession, overconfidence. Psychological flexibility is consistently associated with better health. So we harp on this all the time whenever we face someone who might be cognitively rigid with regards to a particular idea or in general. Someone would say, well, why does a moral well-beingist care about that? Well, because we can demonstrate that cognitive rigidity generally leads to worse health outcomes for individuals. When it comes to their physiology, higher chances of chronic heart issues, higher chances of blood pressure issues, stress-related issues that affect the musculatory system and everything. You can see how this can snowball. So, promoting cognitive flexibility, openness to update, these kinds of principles that are supported by the 6 Pangburn virtues and maxims, and by good faith and helpfulness as necessary constraints on the dialectic. These things are there to help cultivate more cognitive flexibility. Improved critical thinking. When people learn to evaluate arguments rather than simply inherit beliefs, they develop stronger reasoning skills. This can improve confidence, problem-solving ability, resilience against manipulation, sense of agency, meaning and growth. Many people derive meaning from learning, discovery, understanding reality more accurately. Helpful debate creates opportunities for intellectual growth and self-development. Reduced polarization and anxiety. When disagreement occurs respectfully, opponents become less threatening. This can reduce fear, anger, chronic outrage, and tribal hostility. Let's look at social health. Good faith, helpful dialectic builds cooperation. Societies function best when disagreements can be resolved through communication rather than force. Good faith debate provides a mechanism for negotiation, conflict resolution, compromise, mutual understanding, strengthens relationships. People often develop stronger relationships when they can disagree honestly without fear of social destruction. Healthy communities require trust, honesty, openness, respectful disagreement. Something is crawling on me. No, I think I'm okay. So people often develop stronger relationships when they can disagree honestly without fear of social destruction. Healthy communities require trust, honesty, openness, respectful disagreement. Good faith debate cultivates these traits. Produces better institutions. Science, journalism, courts, democracy, education, and markets all depend heavily on criticism and open discussion. When ideas can be challenged publicly, corruption becomes harder to hide. Bad policies become easier to detect. Institutions become more adaptive. Expands empathy. Good faith engagement exposes people to perspectives they might never encounter otherwise. This can increase understanding, perspective taking, compassion, social cohesion. So I just wanted to go through just a little bit of reading of what grounds the Pangburn universe here when it comes to the good faith, helpful dialectic and debate. And I think something that has proven over the years to give rise to the kinds of public conversations that people later look at and say, Okay, yeah, that seemed very constructive compared to a lot of the debates I see today. Well, it's because it has these necessary constraints at the very foundation of where these conversations are being born out of. So so I wanted to start with that. And what does everyone else think about anything I read there, or about the topic that public debate is good for well-being? Feel free to weigh in.
I would just say that you might need to quantify the proposition with Pangburn style public debate, because without that qualifier in there, I would almost feel like it could be, it could easily be taken as like any public debate.
Yeah, I think it's totally fine. There's a reason why I didn't want to squeeze that in there today, because I think it's fine for all of us to disagree fundamentally, or many people to disagree fundamentally with the premise of today's debates, and try to articulate their reasons as to why they disagree with that premise. And of course, there are the strong arguments that, we see this. I've often referred to it as like McDonald's level, or like even worse, like McDonald's dumpster diving level, if we're to use a restaurant analogy, of what is being called debate in the public square, where I don't think it's good faith. I don't think it's helpful. I don't think it's constrained by good virtues that are attempting to cultivate higher levels or maximize well-being, physical, mental, and social health. So, yeah, I definitely don't think those kinds of debates are necessarily good for well-being in general. Yeah, go ahead, Robert. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say I used to kind of hold that opinion too, and as I've I thought about it more and put it, I think that people hold bad ideals, whether we engage with them or not. And the only way to convince somebody to let go of a bad ideal and to adopt a better ideal is through, I think, reason. I don't know how else to convince people of something, to help them see. So, I think that you don't want to let them go unchecked with these bad ideals necessarily, but I think you have to engage with them in a way that promotes the environment to where they can maybe see the error in maybe their thinking, or maybe correct some of their their
yeah, people who use this trope of and I've heard this passed around, someone who didn't come to a belief by reason can't be reasoned out of that belief. Every single belief that's ever been held or come to has been come to by reason. What the argument is that people disagree with those reasons. So it's someone will be like, well, why do you believe that thing? Because my parents told me. Someone will be like, that you didn't engage in reasoning. Yeah, you did. You just engaged in reasoning that another person might disagree with. So it's when we try to do thought experiments of human beings trying to escape the domain of reason, we kind of get into the same issues of where people try to escape cognitive limitations that we have, or just categorical things, trying to escape the domain of morality or something like that. It just doesn't seem like definitionally some of these things we can escape. Someone wouldn't say, oh, well, I don't agree with cognition, so I believe I am outside of my cognition. That would just be incoherent. But it's also as incoherent to say that people come to beliefs not by reason. What people should say is people come to beliefs not by good, sound reasoning. And that's what they have a problem with. The soundness would relate directly to the logic of it all.
Yes, I agree. Ever since you kind of introduced that like me to was it Daryl Davis or whatever
Yeah.
that you
Yeah.
like like you can't say it doesn't work
Yeah. You wouldn't
because
believe. Yeah. Sorry.
I mean
Continue.
like
Yeah.
I may not have the ability to do what he does, to reach people like that, but there are people who can, and he obviously was one of them. So
Yeah. No, most definitely. And I think people who, yeah, again, we don't even have to look at Daryl Davis. We can look at Richard Dawkins, right? There are a lot of people that want to say, well, and have said to Richard Dawkins over the years, well, your unabashed, like direct approach to people is going to just rub people the wrong way, and they're not going to want to listen to you. Well, that just seems not to be the case. Even though I have some updates and some better ways of going about particular conversations for Richard that I would offer. But that doesn't mean the contrary, the firebrand approach to educating the world in the evolutionary sciences doesn't work. I mean, Richard Dawkins is a living, breathing example of how he moved a lot of people away from this evolution denialism into believers, and also from people who are believers in God away from that belief as well. So, yeah, I don't buy what people are selling when they tell me that. Like, I mean, I've been touring around, the world at this point with Destiny, and I've noticed and I've heard from a lot of people who come up to get posters signed and things signed from Destiny at the ends of events, and they testify to him to his face and say, well, I used to be this kind of thinker, but you really helped pull me out of that and showed me the importance of studying and like all of this great stuff that I too would be someone that wants to promote those things as well. And Destiny is considered quite a he's in that firebrand kind of blood sport debate space a lot of the time, not when he's on the Pangburn stage, but most of the time I would say he's in that space. So yeah, people who have this kind of cynical view of debate, like I've heard people in our own servers say, like, nothing good comes out of debates. Debates are just like places where people go to basically masturbate about their own ideas, and then nothing ever happens, nothing ever changes, and like that's such a cynical view that's just not true. We can demonstrate that that's not true because we can just look at the polling data on how people were convinced by like political debates to vote otherwise. It's just not true. Now, if we're talking about the people in the debate itself, yeah, you might not see explicit moments where the person in the debate comes out and says, you know what, while they're on the debate stage, you know what, I am wrong about this. You win. Like, yeah, that's, I'm not sure that's ever happened in the history of mankind. But if you listen closely and you kind of move away from like the McDonald's level debates and you go to like the wholesome home cooked meal or the fine dining debates of the intellectual world, you're going to find moments, especially if people are defending their thesis, let's say, in an academic environment, you're going to see a lot of kind of give and take and I didn't think about that. I'm still ruminating about that. That's very interesting, and you're going to see a lot more of that as you go up the to the higher tiers of debating. But yeah, and I would say something that has a huge effect on how effective that debate is going to be on the public has to do with the level of good faith and helpfulness that is being practiced, and of course it takes. If it's a 1v1 debate, it takes two to tango in that situation. Like I've had debates before where I get the sense at the start of the debate that the person is coming in, with quite a heavy-hearted cloud over themselves, And I kind of noticed that that's not necessarily a violation of my good faith and helpfulness minimum requirements, but I think it tends to generate a stronger push towards unhelpfulness during the course of a discussion, especially if it's a contentious topic. So, this is why like lightheartedness is prescribed by my philosophy, and just across the board, you should have a lighthearted relationship with your own identity, with your own ideas, with your, it's just, we can demonstrate that having lighthearted relationships with our experiences is going to lead to higher levels of physical, mental, and social health. It's very easy to demonstrate. That does not mean, when I say lightheartedness, that means unserious. We can't have serious relationships with our experiences, like including our kids and things like that. That doesn't mean that. You can have serious relationships with anything while maintaining an air of lightheartedness. And it's going to leave you more cognitively flexible in general, which again can be demonstrated to lead to higher levels of physical, mental, and social health. But let's open up the
I was
mics
just going
a
to
little
say,
more. Yeah, go ahead. Yep.
I think too that we probably, like, I found that sometimes I have to adopt a little different strategy with whether I'm trying to make like you was talking about Dennis. He makes a lot of descriptive debating arguments because he's trying to express like facts about a situation, like a lot of times about things in the past that happened. He does a lot of January 6th arguing and stuff like that. And I think that he is, he's trying to engage with those people in a way to correct their view on like this. But like more prescriptive debates, though, like why should we allow gay people to be married? I think it takes a total different tactic. Even though you've got to have data like on both of those, I think it's more of convincing people for why you think that something should be allowed, or from your sentiments on that, instead of just like the views or the facts of the
So, in general, I would say, and I think you're underlying something important. In general, I would say that prescription debates about our own prescriptions that I think are very much, in general, there are exceptions to this rule, but very much closer to our hearts than descriptive matters that we might be wrong about. You hear people a lot more often, I would say, in my experience of like the debate world throughout the years, I hear people a lot more often willing to correct themselves on, say, where they might have got a political fact wrong. If they're like, oh, it was 1919, not 1920. Oh, okay, thanks for correcting me on that. No, it was, you're confusing wars here. It was actually this war. Oh, yeah. But I do think it can be more difficult because of, how closely our sentiments are, and how strongly our sentiments are in how our prescriptions emerge. Like for things like, are you going to be able to get someone to, change their mind at like, oh, your child's not as important to you as you say, or your child shouldn't be as important to you as you claim. Like these things hit deeper, I think, in our sentimentality than, the facts relating to January 6th, for example. And that isn't to say that some of these descriptive facts, descriptive events, like the descriptive nature of the Holocaust, this isn't to say that like those descriptive issues aren't going to weigh heavily, because there are examples of that. I'm just talking in general. I think the prescriptive nature of how we feel about the Holocaust, like if someone says like, the Holocaust wasn't bad, and you're someone who, it comes from a family that was directly affected by the genocide, there's a lot more weight there, I think. But yeah. Anyone else want to weigh in? We have a few more people that have joined. We are talking about, the proposition today is public debate is good for well-being. And one of our, someone who was in the conversation but had to leave mentioned that, after I read out what I think public debate should look like, they said, they kind of alluded to the fact that they would agree that the Pangburnian public debate is good for well-being, but there are a lot of different styles of debate out there that don't seem to be good for well-being. Like maybe the kinds of debates that are kind of geared or set up to bully another person or something like that, which of course is something I would be, fully against.
Yeah, there's a lot of that, especially in today's like clip culture. There's a lot of value if you can capture like a 30-second clip of you absolutely destroying somebody without anybody knowing how prepared that person was.
Yeah, exactly. There's, that happens a lot. And I think I have noticed that like there are creators out there that seem to have built a brand on the funny way that they bully, let's say, theists who call in. I'm going to call out Matt Dillahunty a bit for this. And Matt's someone who I've worked with a lot over the years. I'll just say it here that there's a potentiality that I might be able to put him on stage with Ben Shapiro pretty soon here. A project I've been pulling at for about 5 years. But when Matt's at his best is when he's engaging, in a passionate way and, fighting strongly for his beliefs. But he's not falling into, bullying callers, directly with words, making them feel bad about themselves, calling them names, things like this. He is at his best when he's not doing that. And he has done some public bullying of people. And I think it's bad to do that. I think if someone signs up to have a debate with you, you owe them your good faith, helpful self. That doesn't mean it has to rob the passion out of the conversation. That doesn't mean there aren't going to be, because human beings aren't perfect. And I know Matt's not perfect when it comes to this. I'm not saying he needs to be perfect. There are going to be moments when things get a little more heated. People don't think they're being represented properly. And then the other person disagrees with that. And this can lead to the passions boiling over a bit. But I think like what we saw in the Kissin versus Destiny debate is that we should want to see that there is a way to repair. There is a way to find repair throughout the course of a dialectic. So I think whatever people are holding up as virtuous as minimum requirements for a fruitful dialectic, those principles should have in them as their roots, as their foundation, ways of allowing for repair in a conversation that's maybe leaning into unhelpfulness or starting to lean into like trolling, for example, which I would consider to be bad faith. That's when you would go from honesty and sincerity of intentions to now being insincere with your intentions because you're just trying to fuck with somebody or something like that.
Yeah, the only thing I'll say is, like, in general, I agree with the prompt, but the big asterisk in today's, like, clip/algorithm environment that we're in right now, I think the incentive structure is really bad.
Yeah, it's a problem, right? Because if you and a lot of people will, and you gotta take a light heart to YouTube, right? You got to understand that YouTube does operate algorithmically in this way that demands theatrics demands aesthetics, in the titling, in the thumbnailing. If you put out a discussion, like an important discussion, that you think is very important for the world to hear, or it's a discussion of a really bad idea you view as a bad idea being exposed. If you title it as Travis Pangburn has a good faith, helpful, passionate debate on this topic, and you have a thumbnail that represents that, hardly anyone's going to see it. Hardly anyone's going to know it ever existed. So I think it's incumbent on the user of the tool, in order for you not to commit user error, would be if you bring a heavy heart to YouTube and you say I loved the video. I thought it was so important. But I think the thumbnail and titling is too theatrical, or it's too it's too low resolution, or something like this. I think you're probably thinking too heavy-heartedly about that. It's probably better to understand, just like when you're looking at the front cover of a comic. The body of the comic isn't necessarily going to be like the things you find very important in the comic, important enough to tell other people to buy the comic, isn't necessarily going to be depicted on the front of the comic. The front of the comic is there to kind of draw you in. Big bash, smash, crash. This happens. Your favorite superhero. And then you read through it and you're like, oh yeah, there was some battling in there, but maybe not as much as the cover would have led me to believe. So I think it is incumbent on the user of YouTube to understand that there is almost certainly a biological reality as to why the algorithms work the way they work on YouTube, and that to take some of the theatrics of YouTube with a grain of salt, and to make sure your epistemology, your epistemic standards are above the theatrics of the algorithm.
Yeah, I guess I'm not really talking about clickbait or whatever means that a content creator has to use to try and promote their content. I'm more just there's a clip farming and can crushing is my bigger concern. I see a lot of people who intentionally will look for weak opponents,
right,
and clip farm the best clips that they can to promote themselves. And I think that's probably one of the bigger problems I see is I wouldn't call it just bad faith, but it's not even really a debate. They're just trying to farm the right clip to go viral.
Yeah. And I mean, if you see evidence of people specifically targeting, so I think it's a different thing. Like Destiny, for example, will get a lot of debate requests from different kinds of people that want to debate him. Some are going to be well prepared. Most of them are going to be ill prepared, in the sense of they don't really know what they're getting themselves into, and sometimes the debates don't last very long for that reason. That when Destiny starts putting on a little bit of the analytical pressure, for example, things start to crumble. And it's not just Destiny, but this happens all over the place. So it's also important for the, people have a responsibility that if they want to, I think, engage in public debate, they should be engaging in the kind of public debates that are meaningful to them, that they're in a good space to be engaging in public debates, and also realize that the public debate space is one of the places where the war of ideas plays out. For me, I'm not taking a debate with somebody unless, I'm not doing it for shits and giggles and fun. I'm doing it because perhaps my debate opponent has an idea that I detest, and I want to show why it is incorrect or a bad idea. And it's not about like, hoping that the person you're debating with, has a bad time or they feel bad about it after. But I think people should be taking on purposeful debates. I understand that there's a debate culture out there where people like to do it for fun. Like I know Robert in our server has said he likes to go into this debate space, and it honestly, it sounded kind of fun. It kind of sounded like improvisational theater to a degree. So like, I think if I lensed it that way, I could see myself having fun doing it. But basically you go into this space and I think you're kind of assigned topics and positions that you have to defend, and you have a very limited amount of time. So it is kind of like improvisational theater. So there's maybe some of those situations where I could see myself having fun doing that, but that for me is not the same as, that's more debate as a sport. That's not like me putting on my boots and my gear to enter into the war of ideas with someone who holds an idea that I detest. Like if I'm debating an anti-vaxxer where I can demonstrate clearly by my standards of well-being how they are causing, harm by spreading these ideas alone, let alone what they're going to tell their children, what they're going to tell other people's children, what they're doing to themselves. So like, I really do care about that. And so, yeah, I mean, I think another thing to ask yourself too, before you enter into a debate, is you should try to make sure that you are prepared and, prepared for challenges. A thing I was talking with Don about this morning, and we were talking about this idea where some people they try to build around them a community of people or friends that are not really challenging where they might be wrong about ideas. And when you step out of that space and you're not used to being confronted like directly about your ideas, because you're used to being in a space where people just say their ideas and they're not really challenged, or it's not diverse enough that there would be challenges. I think that's very unhealthy. I think that in and of itself is not a recipe for good levels of physical, mental, and social health. I fully think that supporting one another is really important, and I hope everyone in this community feels that they are supported by other members here. But that doesn't mean you can't, engage in hard-hitting public debate on topics that you actually disagree with, or actually disagree on. And so I want to put that out publicly. I warn against these communities or groups of friends or cultures that are set up to not be honest with each other about, where their ideas are failing or maybe causing detriments to their well-being. There are bad ideas out there by my standards of wanting to maximize physical, mental, and social health for myself and those around me. There are bad ideas out there that should be challenged, even if it's your best friend, even if it's someone who has done something important for you. Another thing you can do that's important for them is challenging them when you think they have a bad idea.
Okay, so when we're engaging with, like, let's say we're engaging with friends versus somebody on YouTube that we've never met before, is there should there be a difference in the way we engage with people? Like, I mean, like, does does the fact that we have a personal attachment to that person, should that come into our um, not not epistemology, but our method of
Your approach to the
engaging?
individual?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Well, inevitably it will, right? Because of the experiences we have with that individual. So, and do I think it's good? Yes. The more information you have about an individual is going to tell you, like, where your conscientiousness, for example, is best served. How you use language with particular individuals over others. But I do think that as a good moral principle, you should treat everyone else, even if you don't know them, and in a friendly way. I try to treat people I don't know like friends. I meet a lot of people when I'm out on the road, for example, and I try my best to treat them like I would any other friend. But that's not to say that as you build a friendship with someone, that you can't enrich that personalized level of communication you have, across the board with different friends. I think that's an inevitability, and I think it's a good thing to do that.
Yeah. Well, I might not know like a stranger on YouTube. I don't have to be hateful to that person. I can understand it, but I may not know how like something's going to affect them. But like if I'm friends with or personally know somebody, and I I kind of know them well enough to know that a certain kind of engagement will cause them, some sort of mental harm or whatever, then do I not have a sort of an obligation to kind of keep that in mind?
Well, I think you should. I think you should keep that in mind, but you have to. I think it's important and it's imperative on us as ethical beings. What up, Tommy T with the cool hat? I think it's important for us as ethical beings is that we don't just consider appeasing our friends. We also consider like giving good advice. For example, I'm getting a bit of feedback from you there, Thomas. If you could mute, yeah, thanks. That if our friend is doing something, by their own volition, if they're pursuing something that they want to do, that doesn't really seem to be something that's working in their best interest with regards to their physical, mental, and social health, then that should be that is something that should be brought up with them. So it's and like the thing I was saying before, I think a good friend is going to be, there needs to be honesty in there. And you don't want to have a situation where you're in kind of a sycophantic relationship with someone where they can never do any wrong. That anything they do, you're necessarily going to be supportive of it. So I just think it's not just like a if I am to consider this person's well-being, that means there's only one way for me to do that. There's often like a spectrum of different ways that you can do that, including sometimes delivering hard truths about the kinds of things the person should be engaging in and shouldn't be engaging in. But from your own opinion, like this particular action or behavior doesn't seem to be working out for you. It seems to be causing you grief. So why are you doing it? Like, what are you getting out of it? These kinds of conversations. Thomas and I are the best of friends, and we breach the difficult conversations with each other on occasion when things come up, and it doesn't destroy our relationship. It enriches our relationship because we know that we
I prefer
are.
that over any other style of communication. This is what I like.
Yeah, and of course we do this in a good faith, helpful way with each other, being conscientious to each other's feelings. And like you said, Robin, it does make a difference if you actually know the person. Of course it does. And that should be taken into consideration. But I think it's healthy for, if you really do care about another person, to sometimes have to have those difficult conversations with them, because we're not always right with regards to our own physical, mental, and social health. I know Thomas helps out a lot of people with that, and dedicates a lot of time to that with his friend group, and sometimes it does take breaching difficult things. Does Don not have permissions? Oh, it's because he left and now he's a new member again. So let's just add these. And then whenever, for all the admins in the room, you have to server mute and then unserver mute the person. And then they should be able to unmute, because we have that protection so that we don't have trolls coming in during the live streams who we don't know, or that might just be trying to fuck things up. But yeah, that's how you give people permission. But yeah, if you had something to say, Don, feel free to unmute. Or actually, let's see, Trey's unmuted, and then we can go to Don if Don has something. Yeah.
Hey, Don, what's up? I got a few things. In terms of the proposition, when I think of, let's say, how many debates you've hosted, Travis, maybe it's hundreds. I think of the probability of each of those debates going good, going bad, and I would say most of them probably went good. So I have to say that I have to agree with the proposition that it's good. And then I also think of what the opposite of the proposition would be. Public debates are bad. And then I think of what scenarios that statement would be true. Maybe it's a wartime. Maybe it's a time of intense opposition between both sides, to the point where bad things happen. That is probably the only times when public debates would be bad. So I have to say public debates for the most part are good. And then recently I heard somebody tell me, well, I don't want to do a debate, that people go in with their preconceived notions and they only harden themselves after the debate. Well, if that were true, then debates would never take place. You wouldn't have great theologians like Frank Turek or great atheists like Christopher Hitchens doing any debates. So it's obvious that debates are good. And then I would offer a little bit of pushback. Maybe you don't think Andrew Wilson is a Pangburn style debater, but I would argue that he's needed in times like these. His style, aggressive style, that even made Matt Dillahunty leave, Mm-hmm. I would say that he's needed in times like this. And then I would also think about public debates. Well, how about 1v1 debates when nobody's listening and it's just you and somebody else?
Right.
I think that is very interesting and necessary too. I've had 1v1, not necessarily debates, more so discussions, but some people just don't want to talk, and that's not my problem. But I wish more people would debate. I wish bad ideas should be stopped, and debating gives people the opportunity to prepare and harden their ideas and live in a challenging atmosphere where, in some places, and sometimes I struggle with this in church, it's not really a debate atmosphere. So that's what I got.
Yeah, on the Andrew Wilson question, I'm not. I've stated publicly that he's kind of on the no-go list for now for Pangburn. When I say that, it's like if the right opportunity that I think was good by the standards of wanting to maximize well-being came along with Andrew Wilson, I'm not closed off to it. I'm I'm fallibilist when it comes to any of these statements that I make. I've seen some things from Andrew Wilson that I think would actually pass on the Pangburn stage, but I've seen a lot from him that wouldn't pass. So for me, with him, it's not like he's got a lifetime ban or anything. I had a bad interaction with him when trying to get him contracted for a debate. And I found that negotiation between him and I, and the language that was being used, like fucking atheist fags, like that kind of language being used in that conversation between us while I'm like negotiating as a producer with him was something that sent red flags up my spine. I tried to continue with it, and then he made some claims, like because there was an error in one of the contracts that was issued. He made some strange claims about like, oh, I'm going to need like, or it's like, I think you're trying to fuck me over here or something. And I was just like, okay, I think I've been patient up to this point. And, I think we're done for now. And then he said, well, I'm the one who's notoriously known for, being able to work with anyone and being easy to work with. And I was like, I don't know if that's the case. I heard otherwise from people that I spoke to before, approaching Andrew with an opportunity to debate Richard Carrier, actually. And then eventually that was done over on Modern Day Debate. So yeah, Andrew Wilson it's not a lost cause. It's just there are some things that have to get more helpful with him. I don't doubt that he brings honesty and sincerity of intention into the conversations he has, but the helpfulness part is what I struggle with him. So he's not off forever. It's just I kind of need to be convinced otherwise with him at this point. Yeah, I mean, with regards to the proposition that you brought up today, I think that's an interesting way of looking at it. Like, what would society look like if we just viewed as public debate in general as bad? I think public debate is, in culture, a culture of public debate is somewhat necessary to achieve high levels of social health. And of course, social health affects mental health. It affects physical health. Like, there's no separating this triangle of well-being. So, I do think that I do agree with you that even when we have examples of debates where they're not so good faith, they're not so helpful, and they're kind of like blood sport debates, even if we couldn't be producing good faith, helpful debates, I still think there are aspects of well-being, still positive aspects of well-being, still being generated by the blood sport debate league. I'm not saying that that's not happening. So yeah, in general, I do agree with the general premise of today. So then of course, on an individual basis, we could try to find ways of measuring, whether or not like a blood sport debate between Destiny and some other debater that was just like this ranting back and forth, talking to each other and like calling each other names, and then that was the end of the debate. We can look into the comments. We can survey people who viewed that debate, and we can ask them, what were the positive things you got out of this debate? And someone might say, well, it was entertaining as F, and it got me laughing for a lot of the conversation. And so, like, it's not to say that it's like, from a positive perspective, well-being neutral, the more McDonald's level or McDonald's dumpster diving level debates that are out there. But I want to see that stuff improved. And what was the other point? There was one other point, Trey.
I talked about 1v1, the importance of 1v1 debates too, not just public.
Yeah, the importance of people being able to engage in a 1v1 or even a family circle dialectic. This is so important that families and individuals engage with each other in a good faith, helpful way. I can't. It's hard to even begin to fathom the amount of well-being that could be spread if individuals just started adopting this minimum requirement as a principle they tried to hold themselves to when engaging with each other or when communicating with each other, I think the world would be a hell of a lot better if this was actually being practiced. And that's one of the reasons why I promote it. Does anyone else want to chime in? Don, you might have had something, or anyone else. It looks like Simos. Oh yeah, let's let Don go.
Yeah.
And then we'll
okay.
go Simos.
Hey guys,
Hey.
glad to be back here. It's been a while.
Yeah.
Hope everyone's doing well. And Trey, really nice to see you, brother. I just wonder, considering today's kind of anti-whatever sentiment in public, are public debates still helpful in general to people who don't have anything other than their own well-being in mind?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. And I think that would depend on the person. I've met a lot of people on the road who are, they're like, "Hi, Travis, I'm severely autistic." Like that's how they introduce themselves to me. And then I'm like, "Hey, nice to meet you. How's it going? What brings you out to this event?" It's like, "It's very hard for me to be here." And I'm like, "Okay." And it's like, "But I love Destiny. I love his debates. They bring me a lot of, they bring me a lot of joy, and I like the community, and it gives me a sense of community. And I'm glad that you did this, and I'd like to come out to another one. And but for the most part, I just keep to myself, in my room, because that's where I feel most safe. And so I've met a few people like this, and I think, and that's an example that comes to mind that I think for, those people who really just love the art of debate and belong to like a debate community like that. I think they can derive a lot of goodness by way of their well-being through engaging with that kind of content or the debate world in general. I also think that there's a significant amount of tragedy that can befall a person who, watches a debate, finds themselves in a position now that like, oh, I just lost a belief by way of my own reasoning through this debate, that now I feel like I don't have any meaning in my life. So now I'm in a state of meaning crisis because I've been exposed to this information I was never exposed to in this way before. I also think there's tragedy and some suffering that comes out of debating, whether it be the participants, whether it is the people that are engaging in the content. This is one reason why I promote strongly that we should have a lighthearted. This doesn't mean unserious, but a lighthearted relationship with our ideas, our identity, with our debate performance, with anything really within the purview of the human experience. We should try to have a lighthearted relationship with it. And one of the reasons why I promote that should be obvious based on my moral stance, but we can show that lightheartedness itself leads to better levels of physical, mental, and social health. So I don't want to see people suffer by way of the debate, by way of, engaging in the war of ideas. I don't think they have to, but I think it is a responsibility for the user of the tool of debate, or the user of the tool of YouTube debate, to be using this tool in a healthy way. Not in a way that would, cause them detriments to their physical, mental, and social health. I would never want to see that. Anyone else?
Perry
Anka?
was
Or Robin?
first.
Perry? Was Perry
Nope.
next? Yeah.
Robin, then Simos, and then
Oh yeah, Robin, Simos, then Perry, then
Right,
Anka,
yeah.
maybe.
Yeah. Okay. I just want to push back again. Like we were talking about Andrew, and I don't want to dwell on Andrew, but like you said you didn't doubt his good faith and stuff. I watched the debate that he had with Matt Dillahunty that Trey referenced live, and I was just now trying to pull it up so I could exactly see if I could remember correctly what the exact topic was, how it was worded. Do you remember, Trey?
It was what is better for humanity, I believe. Christianity or secular humanism, I believe. Is that right?
Maybe that might have been it. That's probably it. That sounds about right. Okay, so I'm trying to remember back to Andrew's opening statement. On at what part did he address any of that topic, and I cannot think of any part of it. He did not engage with that topic at all. He went straight into an attack on Arden Hart, who is Matt Dillahunty's partner, and like had nothing. It was in no way related to that topic that they had agreed on. And Matt had actually prepared for this. Matt takes it very seriously. Maybe he takes himself too seriously at times, I think, probably. But he takes this very seriously. So he had prepared for this topic in great detail. And I found it rather like bad faith for Andrew to engage in this debate with the tactic that he used of just going to the personal, not even engaging with the topic. And so, yeah, I think he was definitely bad faith in that specific debate. Now, whether he's the bad faith in all of his debates, I don't know. But in that one, I found it definitely that he was bad faith.
Yeah, so bad faith meaning dishonesty and insincerity of intentions. We would have to, review the tape. But based on your assessment, you're saying that he was being necessarily dishonest. It wasn't just a bad opening. You're saying he was dishonest, and he did lack a sincerity of intention.
Yeah, he didn't engage the conversation, the topic at all. Like there was not. There was
and it
no
wasn't just him
engagement.
being stupid.
Well, I mean, like, no, like, I mean, he was in, and that's why Matt got up and left. It wasn't the attacks that Matt gave as a reason because he left. It was the fact that there was no engagement with the topic, and he was upset. He was mad because, I'm sure that he got riled up over the attacks.
It could be
had
that,
he known that we were going to have a debate over transgender people, then he may have prepared differently for a debate. But that was, and Arden, Arden was in.
Yeah, that wasn't the topic. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it was.
It very well could have been. Yeah, it very well could have been.
Wasn't told, what the topic was, and I'm sure he was.
Would you categorize it as trolling?
I would say, yeah. But
so if it was trolling, then that would meet my standards of bad faith. Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely, I would say it was even meaner, like more vitriolic than trolling, actually.
Yeah, then that might have been an instance. I think I've seen that. It was quite a long time ago, right?
About
debate?
2 years ago.
Okay,
it was the last debate that Matt did on Modern Day Debate.
Okay, yeah. So, I mean, that might be an instance. And then we would have to ask the question, is this a reoccurring pattern? Did Andrew Wilson learn lessons since then? How does the trajectory? How does his trajectory look? These are the kinds of things I would consider as a producer, if the minimum requirements for a fruitful dialectic on the Pangburn stage are good faith and helpfulness, which they are. I would want to know that he would be able to maintain that and be able to agree to it, and make sure he is clear on what I mean by good faith and helpfulness, and I would want to look at the evidence of a good sample size of debates, not just one anecdote, and not saying that one anecdote isn't important, but I would want to see a good sample size of the recent growth. Because if I just went off of like a handful of anecdotes, I would have never been able to justify working with Destiny. And Destiny in my opinion, over the past year since we've been working together, and what he has produced as a debater on the Pangburn stage, I couldn't be happier with. Doesn't mean I think he made the right choices with regards to his behavior every single time, but that's not the standard. The standard is there reflection? Is there a way to put the brakes on and cool down and recalibrate? And I think Destiny's shown really good things in that regard. And just because I disagree with Andrew Wilson so much on so many different things, and I haven't seen a lot of his stuff, but I've seen a few different things. Doesn't mean that I wouldn't want to give him the same opportunity for growth on our stage, because I think he's quite a popular debater. If he could start, displaying himself in a more good faith, helpful way to all of his audience, which I'm sure many of them are perhaps mirroring some of their behavior based on how he behaves in the dialectic, then I think that could do a lot of good.
Yeah, I think that you would have probably, like, I would rather him be on your stage actually engaging, because I feel like that you would have stepped in and done a far better job of moderating that disaster than what James did, which is another reason why Matt got mad and left. There was no moderation whatsoever. There was no attempt to try to correct him and line him back up on the topic either.
For the most part, and it's not a perfect rule, but for the debates and discussions on the Pangburn stage, participants should be ready to be able to sit down and have a fireside debate and not need moderator intervention. Now, there are exceptions to that rule. I decided to accept doing this for the vaccine debate, for example, in New York, because it was required by the anti-vaxxers for that debate, and I didn't want to lose that debate. I thought it was very important that they were, put to the test by Professor Dave and Dr. Dan Wilson. God, I love Dr. Dan Wilson. Oh man, Dave is great too, but Dr. Dan Wilson is just a beacon of good faith, helpful education, and I can't wait to do more with him. But in general, I don't like the formal structure of debaters and moderator. I don't like it. I think it's juvenile. I think it's something that is required for mid to low level debates and discussions. I think the real, like if you watch Alex O'Connor and Dinesh D'Souza, or if you watch Matt Delahunty and Dinesh D'Souza, these guys, I think, are masters at being able to bring the passion, bring good faith, helpfulness, while still allowing each other to finish their thought and a keen, genuine interest in each other's ideas. So I do think it is kind of a graduating level. Like for Andrew Wilson, it'll be, there isn't going to be a moderator out there holding your hand like a babysitter and telling you when you need to let someone finish or not. This is a different level than that. So you need to be able to manage that yourself. Can you manage it? And I'm sure Andrew Wilson would say yes, he could manage it. But yeah,
that's interesting. Like, let's say the Kiss and Destiny debate just really went off the rails, like it almost did.
It almost did, yeah.
Would you interject at all, or would you let it all be thrown out for the world to see?
So I did interject very softly in the video.
Sure.
And that was when yelling from the audience started, and Kissin started directing his attention to the audience. So first off, I wanted to correct that. And then I also added, let's not debate with the audience, and let's see if we can get the dialectic back on track here. And after that moment, it started moving in the positive direction. It didn't happen immediately, but it did started moving in a positive direction. So, yeah, it was a very minimalist intervention there. But yeah, I'm not interested for the most part in people who need to be handheld by a moderator, and I don't care how good the moderator is. I agreed to it for Jordan Peterson, Sam Harris to have Brett Weinstein in between them. It was my decision in the end to either agree to this or not, but I agreed to it because partly because Sam Harris and Jordan Peterson had kind of a belief that they might get bogged down in a conversation about truth again, which I didn't mind, so long as it was constrained by the good faith, helpful requirements. I didn't mind that. I also wasn't convinced that Brett Weinstein was the right choice for this. But at that time, with Brett Weinstein being someone who was recommended by Sam and Jordan, I agreed to it. I think as much of a masterpiece that conversation series was, and then eventually Douglas Murray became less of a moderator for the last two and more of a participant, which I think was better. But I think as much of a masterpiece as those conversations were, I think they would have been better with the Matt Dillahunty, Jordan Peterson head-to-head, fireside chat, as though these are two guys sitting across from each other in a bar with, poker chips and their hands laid out in front of them, debating the existence of God. I think that's much better. The fourth wall of the audience and what's going on stage, that's ideal, as opposed to having this other entity on stage that is like a referee that isn't required if people really know how to have a fruitful discussion or debate or disagreement. It's not required. And I will, people who want to go and watch modern day debate stuff with someone who needs to say let each other finish, everything like that. This is juvenile shit, in my opinion.
Yeah, the good faith helpful is the moderator.
It is, yeah.
My answer to the question today is yes. Public debate will, encourage hearing different ideas, sparring against others with your own ideas to sharpen them. I always mention how descriptive facts are going to influence your prescriptive facts and normativity. Yes. So you're going to want that to be as best as possible. So, that's one kind of instrumental way to well-being. The social health, we can probably go all day on the social health, which is very underlooked in many aspects of today's society.
Can I and something there, Perry?
Please.
That if you haven't been out to like a Pangburn live event, like a debate event or something like that, try to get out to one and try to observe and take in that immense amount of social health that is going on between people having their own conversations in the audience. I have to admit that in many cases, for me as a moral well-beingist, I become somewhat more interested in the new relationships that are being built, and the smiling and laughing and some of the good faith, helpful disagreements I'm hearing in the conversations after the shows and before the shows. Just as someone like myself who wants to be a farmer of well-being, right? I just see that as new crops being planted and somewhat flourishing over here, like seeing your beans starting to sprout when, after you've planted and watered and soiled and manured, and you kind of are waiting patiently, and that next morning when you wake up and you see the first bean sprouts, it's a very exciting thing. But
Well,
I love that.
Let me yes and your yes and.
All right.
It seems like most of those events are close to 50-50 or 60-40 or 65-35 even. And that sort of, just probabilistically, you're going to be having those side quest conversations with new people that you meet. And it's going to be of a different idea than yours. And you brought up the whole echo chamber thing essentially earlier, where it leads to unhealth many times, where you have this sort of support system where it's just kind of no pushback in a sycophantic, obsequious kind of way. So that, it all falls in place if you're doing really the proper things. One last thing, we were talking about Matt Dillahunty. You think he had like the greatest performance ever with JP, but when it comes to like his call-in show, he's kind of a fucking dick, right?
He can be.
And
he can be.
I want to point out and speculate on the phenomena of public debating in person, where you can, smell the guy next to you 5 feet away, versus being on a phone, being behind a screen. Something to consider there in terms of how we can farm well-being and the well-being consequences that come from those two different types of settings.
Yeah, like that's an excellent point. And I do encourage everyone, by the way, who engages here on the Pangburn Discord server to turn their camera on whenever they're feeling comfortable to do so. I think it does help. Yeah, there's Perry right there with his Julius Caesar overgrown beard. I love it. It's very sexy.
Absolute loser, just the biggest loser on planet Earth.
Watch it. Yeah.
And
let's not forget Simos. That was fun. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I want to say sorry for taking your spot, Simos.
No,
chronologically.
That's okay.
We'll get there.
I've always got bullets loaded in the chamber. Don't you worry.
Good. And just to cap off this turd. I really encourage people to turn on their cameras, because it does add that extra layer of social health, of being able to see the human in form means something, to see the facial expressions, to see the impact of what you're saying on someone's face, whether it's positive or negative. I think that's very valuable. I also understand how some people do value anonymity to some degree. Being in person, as we move forward in the Pangburn journey, there's going to be way more opportunities, like an annual Pangburn conference to meet people in person that will, include some interesting live discussions and things like that. So we want to do more of those, but I just love that we have this technology that allows us to do this stuff. And I do think Perry is right that when you're in person with someone, there's something very special about that kind of interaction. Like, when I get to hang out with Thomas in person and have little debates and discussions with Thomas or Don, or so many people in the Pangburn universe that I've met out on the road. And yeah, there is a big difference being able to see them, a living, breathing human being that you can hug, smack on the shoulder, all that stuff. So yeah, go ahead, Simos.
Thanks very much.
Yeah.
I guess first of all, I'll just push back against Perry. Look, okay, so my answer is yes as well, of course. I wouldn't be in a debate community for as long as I have been unless I was getting something out of it. And so I've certainly learned a hell of a lot. It's exposed me to people who have a lot more knowledge on subjects which I have come to learn, and that learning alone has enlightened my life to no end, especially on the philosophical end, which I was very naive with. Not that I'm not naive now, but that's really important. So that's good logical thinking and the ability to think on your feet and to respond to people and the listening skills which I've gained through just having to listen to people make mistakes and then pull them out and go, oh, hang on a minute, is this a mistake, or is this just definitional, or is it a semantic argument, or etc., etc. All of that has really helped me in my general life anyway to understand other people when I'm talking in real time to people in person. So yeah, undoubtedly it's good. I do think though that there is a huge gradient in what we're calling debate here, and I think generally speaking, when I first started, my first debate was against Brett Keane, wonderful and enigmatic Brett Keane, and he probably trounced me quite badly because I wasn't ready for the ad homs. I didn't even know people would actually argue that way, just by insulting somebody and saying that they're, because they're an atheist, they must be a piece of shit. They must be an animal murderer. They must be, baby eating son of a bitch, and all of this stuff.
Well, I've even heard worse than animal murderer.
I didn't want to go into it on your show, and especially with my
You
face.
You the man.
But I'm just saying. So and that was very shocking, and it kind of I almost gave up being on the internet straight away the first time that happened. If it wasn't for a wonderful man called Xbox, I would not be on the internet now, because he sent me a letter, sent me a DM straight away, just saying, "Yeah, you need to come and speak to me so you can understand what just happened." So I went and spoke to Xbox and a lovely guy called Sock Account, and they put me right on A, who Brett Keane was, and then B, what kind of douchebag some of the fundamentalist Christians can be, and that's why they argue in this way, and people are going to be bad faith, right? And we soon had lots of examples of that when it came to pre-suppers. So I think that's kind of the low end, and it does take time to learn some chops before you can do it. So I wouldn't recommend public debate until you've taken a few private debates or off-air debates at least, and then maybe looked into watching other people debate at middle and higher end.
I think that's very good advice.
What kind of standards are acceptable?
Yeah.
So that's the first thing. And then as we move higher up the ladder, of course, you get to people like Andrew Wilson, which have a command of rhetoric, which you have to then overcome. And that can be quite intense as well, because they're not going to just grant you positions in good faith. And I disagree with you, Travis, here. I think he shows in most of his debates that he is a bad faith debater at one point. He has this thing, and I would agree, that he plays the game of philosophical jiu-jitsu, in that he understands that if he gets some of the philosophy wrong, he's going to look like the idiot. So he tries to be correct on those points, and if you're making a logical philosophical point, he knows he can't just go, nah. He has to engage with the point, right? There's several ways he does it, and there are several bad faith ways he does it, by building Mott-Bailey fallacies, by or making Mott-Bailey claims, which he's just going to retreat to that. Well, I didn't say it was my position. My position is something less volatile and easy to defend, right? And then he'll go along, and that'll be the switch, right? So I think that's bad faith as well. And then there's the gish gallop and interrupting, right? Where as soon as you're about to get to your conclusion, which shows that he possibly is wrong, then he will start interrupting and over talking you. That's the thing about Andrew Wilson. So and there are other fallacies. He's a straw man king as well at some points, and I've seen in debates. So that's okay, whatever. That's just something you have to learn to deal with along the way. So that's good practice as well.
Mm-hmm.
Even he has his uses. So there you go. And then of course there's the other side, which is the formal debate side, which is the one I was gonna just. Perry said something in the side chat about formal debates, and yeah, I think formal debates, the actual formal debate structure, as I understood it to be at school, at least anyway, when I was debating at in school, was that you send your opening and you send your opening to them first on a piece of paper before you even get to the debate, and it's basically just like reading out the statements to each other that you're going to make ahead of the debate, and then leaving one section for crosstalk or whatever you have, which means that. And the reason they do that, of course, is to fundamentally get to the point about the debate without all of the personal remarks or ability to just wander off the topic, etc. Right? You're going to be able to read ahead of time what their opening is, so you can write out a rebuttal. Then you send the rebuttal back to them, right? So they can see what you're going to say back to it. So everything is prepared, and there is no surprises there. You're literally arguing about the topic, and taking all of the personal stuff out of it. And then after that, there's usually a chance for some back and forth, and that makes a huge difference to the point that you're trying to address. And of course, it's always going to be on one topic as well. That's the problem I've got with modern day debate, is they like to have their cake and eat it by saying, which is better? Right, which is never a good topic for a debate when you've got two sides going, well, mine's better. Well,
Right.
the other one, well, mine's better.
Yeah.
I mean, I just find that almost pointless. It's
It
either
becomes
one
a
or the
couple
other.
salesmen, prescriptive salesmen on stage, trying to sell you their product by way of debate infomercial.
Yeah, I told James that 5 years ago, and because it puts more bums on seats, he completely ignored it. And I've said it to him several times since, that the debate topics just are not interesting anymore, because you're not giving people a chance to talk about a particular subject. You're just saying, you talk about one subject, you talk about the other subject. If they do interact, it's probably going to be, it's going to be a problem, because it's going to be an external critique. And that's a problem when you're talking about debates. So, or certainly can be, right? Where if I use my presuppositions to critique yours, I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Right? So there's that as well. And then finally, the good faith thing. That's always going to be tested. It's going to be difficult to identify sometimes when somebody is being good faith between when they're just being not understanding the other person's
or
position.
just simply stupid, right? It can. That's the one I run into, is like, when is someone being just simply making a stupid argument or responding stupidly, and when are they actually being dishonest or deceptive? Or
Yeah, I mean, I never want to think someone's just being stupid, because that would put me in the position of being a bad faith actor. So I try to avoid that as much as I can. What I will do when I feel that in that situation, though, that I'll just shut the debate down and go, okay, right, we've reached the end. There's no point in engaging anymore. So, I'm just going to stop debating, basically, and just go, okay, well, if that's your position, that's your position. Here's the ad absurdum which your argument leads to, right? Or here's the absurd conclusion that your argument leads to, and you take that for what you will, and I'm done.
Yeah. Well, I guess some of these, like some of the gish galloping you would see from Andrew Wilson, in order for me to consider that to be bad faith, I would need to see some dishonesty or sincerity of intention necessarily, being connected to that. So, can you guys still hear me? Check. Oh, am I getting disconnected? Check. Let me try leaving. Just trying to reconnect here. Check, check. One. Well, I'm still trying to reconnect to Discord here. And I think you can still hear me. Check, check. One. Well, I'm still trying to reconnect to Discord here. Let me try shutting Discord. I think you can still hear me. You can also hear my son playing in the background. Well, I'm still trying to reconnect to Discord here. Let me try shutting Discord. I think you can still hear me.
End up showing, and they will lose their following. And
also hear
the
my
way
son
I see it
playing
is
in the
he
background.
has a big
Well, I'm still
following.
trying to
He's
reconnect
even come
to
out on
Discord here.
one of the biggest podcasts in the world
Try
recently,
shutting
Joe
Discord.
Rogan.
I think you can.
So his opinions end up have following. That doesn't mean that they're true, but they're being heard. And if you believe his opinions are bad ideas, then you should want them to be exposed.
Yeah, I think he should be engaged. I'm not saying he shouldn't be engaged, but I don't want people to try to say that he's not bad. I can't say he's bad faith every time. I'm my opinion is probably or I see that he debated another friend of mine too, and I thought he was kind of bad faith in that. Not to the point though that he was in the Matt Dillahunty debate, but he brought his own camera crew to that event, and had it filming when that he did that. I mean, that was, and I'm pretty sure that he commented later that his actual goal was to make Matt rage quit. So I'm fairly certain that he actually expressed that verbally. So
that's direct evidence. If that is the case, if you're entering a debate and he said his goal was to make Matt quit, that's direct evidence of bad faith right there.
Yes, I would say it was. Yeah. And like I said, I was already convinced because he didn't engage the topic, not because of his anything he did, except for he just didn't engage the topic at all. Like in his opening, I can see maybe later on in the back and forth, for things to come to that kind of peak.
Yeah.
Where they start discussing these topics, but his opening statement was not engaging the actual prompt of the debate. So
right.
But
let me push back a bit. Okay. So if his goal was to make Matt Dillahunty rage quit, Matt Dillahunty and all of his intellectual prowess, he doesn't have to sit there and take it, right? That's sick if he has to sit there and take it. But he should want to expose the bad faith and expose that this person is not someone intellectual, not someone that should be listened to, but instead Andrew Wilson probably got more of a following from doing that.
Yeah, because
maybe I don't know.
Well, drama sells.
Low tier.
Can I just explain to Travis the point that he missed when he cut out?
Yeah.
which was there was some behind the scenes footage that came out, and Matt had actually been provoked by Andrew or backstage,
Oh.
saying stuff about his partner and the fact that she's trans, and so he was already on that side of it, and basically I think Matt said at one point he spoke to James and said, if he starts that bullshit on stage, I'm out of there. I'm walking off.
Right.
Right? Because I'm not interested in having a debate with somebody that is going to be such a bad faith actor.
Right.
And obviously James tried to persuade him. Now he said, I will come out because you paid me to be here. I'm, honor bound to at least go out there and start the debate in good faith. These are the conditions, right? If he starts this bullshit with me, that's it.
Yeah.
So that had already been stated beforehand,
Right.
backstage, right, where he tried to pull the same shit just to rile Matt Dillahunty up.
Right. Yeah. So it sounds like the engagement in that debate, like as Robin said, and I'm going to look it up, see what I can verify here. That to verify, giving the reason for going into the debate was just to get Matt to rage quit, and then he felt like he achieved that. That is bad faith. So, and it says here, I just got my system to analyze the entire transcript of that. So it says the topic was Christian ethics versus secular humanism, which has a better foundation. The Andrew's opening should ideally have focused on questions like what grounds moral obligations, what grounds human value, what grounds rights, etc. Instead, most of his openings focused on transgender ideology, definitions of man versus woman, homosexuality, birth rates, reproduction, public decency. A previous Dillahunty debate that happened 9 years earlier, and then whether secular humanists even have the ability to tell the truth. So, yeah, I mean, the evidence, the smoking gun there is, if Andrew did say this, did Andrew Wilson? Yeah, there's evidence that Andrew later described the outcomes in a way that suggests provoking Dillahunty into leaving was at least part of his strategy. So yeah, that's direct evidence of bad faith there in that situation. Yeah, that's a terrible thing to do to somebody. That's bully-like behavior. Am I disconnected from Discord again? Ugh. It's so annoying. Ugh. I'm going to shut it down again. Well, maybe I'll just try leaving and coming back.
They're speaking to their crowd through dog whistling, but at the same time, they're not actually saying anything intentionally out loud. And when you expose people like that to debate, quite often you can get them to say the wrong thing and actually expose, like whoever that guy did with that Nick Fuentes guy. Who did that? Was it Piers Morgan, I think?
Piers Morgan? Really?
Was it?
I don't know.
Was it Piers Morgan that got him to say that he thought that Hitler was based and that he was a fascist or he was a racist and all of this stuff?
Sorry,
just straight out say it. All the stuff that should have been quiet suddenly, no, fuck it, I'm going to say it. And he said it. So now everybody knows, right? So that's another good reason to debate people with bad ideas. It's a job that the media should be doing.
Expose.
my pushback on those two things would be, that okay, if we could say that it works out that Andrew Wilson is a counterbalance to secular humanism, it works out that way, and then we could also say that Matt Dillahunty didn't successfully expose him to his own fans, right, Simos?
Yes,
By leaking?
and Matt received criticism from the secular community for, like, there was a lot of people who were supportive of what he did. There were a lot of people who expressed the idea that they thought that he should have stayed there and engaged Andrew. And so, like, it wasn't it wasn't like a unified reaction to that. There were a lot of people that were like, you should have stayed there and engaged him, and pushed back against his bad ideals.
So
And there's no better place to do it.
Well, Trey, this is why having minimum requirements for a fruitful dialectic are important. Now, once we step outside the fruitful dialectic, like in this case, I would have probably realized that I'm in a bad faith situation here, and then I would have to. Now I'm outside of my minimum requirements for a fruitful dialectic. Then I have to decide if I want to engage in what is almost certainly going to be an unfruitful dialectic. It's going to be, attacks and like who knows what else of what other kinds of bad faith and unhelpfulness awaits me in this discussion. Am I going to, I guess. Give platform to that kind of conversation. Now, on the Pangburn stage, we have rules. Those rules were violated here. This would be shut down unless Andrew Wilson could recalibrate. At Modern Day Debate, it seems like they don't have rules against bad faith and unhelpfulness. And this is like the Modern Day Debate thing is like, it says up in their slogan that we are a neutral debate organization. Neutral debate doesn't exist. Okay, any person who is running any kind of thing is not a neutral party. The most honest thing for organizations and businesses to do is to put out there what they're the people who run the discussion platform, like what they're about, who they are. It's like, yeah, I'm Travis Pangburn. I'm an atheist. I don't believe that a God exists. Like whenever I approach someone like Dinesh D'Souza, I tell them I'm an atheist. I don't think God exists, but I'd love to have you come out on my stage. It's a good faith, helpful platform to discuss ideas. And I think you and Alex O'Connor would have an amazing back and forth. And this idea that any of that stuff is neutral, when James is obviously like a Christian who has sympathies towards someone's debating style and attitudes like Andrew Wilson. Like, it's obvious, dude. Don't lie to the world. Like, you have your own sentiments. You have your own goals in why you're platforming someone like Andrew Wilson. I also have mine, but mine are stated publicly to show the world that I'm promoting the anti-Trump debate tour because I'm fucking anti-Trump. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to disallow Trump supporters to be on the Pangburn stage, and vice versa when it comes to other topics like the God debate issue. So I do see something very dishonest fundamentally about that platform. And I think the McDonald's level debates that they produce is kind of outlines. Kind of the problems with the fundamental structure and the lack of values that are instilled into the dialectic on that stage. So, but I have heard from many people that the people running that place are primarily interested in building a popular channel and getting clicks and views and things like that. And I think if that's your your underlying value principles that are driving you to want to do something like that, that's a very sad situation.
Yeah. Okay. Let me just push back a little bit because
Sure.
I was a subscriber since the very early days of on that channel, and initially it wasn't like that. Number one, that's the first thing to say. But I think James, he was doing a PhD or something like this. I think when he first started it, and it was like a hobby type thing. So there wasn't that, and then all the money he made from the channel went to charities, and that was the reason that he, continued to keep working at it despite the interference with his PhD that he was doing. In fact, I think he spent an extra year having to get his PhD just because he'd put time into the debate channel. But that's not to say that necessarily continued all the way. I think after he got his PhD, that's when the monetization began to ramp up a little bit, and he was still giving large amounts to charity. So I'm not questioning his motives in terms of what happens with the money, right? And I think it is his motive to try and make money from the channel. For whatever reasons, charity or otherwise.
Yeah.
And so therefore he has pandered to the drama side of debates more than the intellectual content of the debate ideas, and that's why he's happy to have these terrible everyone is a terrible debate topic. I can't remember the last time there was a single topic on the platform.
Well, people here know how I feel about charity, and hopefully, this money's going to good charity, not like abstinence only education charity fund.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's not. It's not like that. It's
Great.
not like that.
Yeah, I think
Excellent.
James has some good. I think he has some good charitable, like recipients. Like
Okay.
I can't remember exactly, but I remember.
Excellent.
Donating because I knew that's where money was going.
Now this doesn't deal with though the claimed neutrality of the platform and how that's incoherent, and the leaning into people like Andrew Wilson as your kind of feature guy on that channel, the same way I have done with Sam Harris, with Matt Dillahunty, with Destiny recently, guys that I think are valuable to my underlying moral quest to maximize well-being. And so I think it's important to be explicit about that, to be open about that. If you have a business or you're running something, or else people in the audience might be confused thinking that your underlying values that you're trying to promote aren't the thing that's kind of steering the direction of the channel and who's featured more, who gets the preferable cuts in the video, if that's happening. I'm not sure if they are, but
they just go live. They're unedited.
But what videos are being made into shorts in the shorts feed and being featured? Are they Andrew Wilson highlights? Or are they equally balanced between? So there are empirical ways to test if this truly is an equal platform. And I've done this before. I've gone through. I've clicked on the shorts that are being featured and the kinds of things that are being presented, and it's quite obviously not neutral because none of these platforms are neutral. Pangburn's not neutral. That would be crazy for people to really think that such a thing exists. Like this new World War debate thing that someone started. I took a look at what they're doing over there, and they're not hiding behind some guise of neutrality. You can even see with the guy who's organizing the event, the way he interviews, say, Pearl Davis versus Anna Kasparian, very different in how he's approaching that. So it's like, if modern or if the World War debate was putting up on their thing, we are a neutral war debate platform, then that would be different. But they're not doing that, right? So I wouldn't want to see people getting confused, thinking that they're getting like a neutral, non-algorithmic feeding from a system that has no bias when really clearly they're selecting what kind of YouTube shorts they want to put out there. So.
Yeah, I would add slightly to that as well, which is, he panders to the zeitgeist in the communities at the time. So, for instance, there's a lot of racism, right? Because that's a big drama generating topic.
Right.
He did Portion a few times. He's done
Yep.
Flat Earth countless numbers of times.
Right.
Right. So I just think that he's not picking these topics because they're, what's the word I'm looking for here? Because they're enlightening or whatever. I think it's again the same idea. I'm not interested in the topics or the debates. I'm interested in the drama because that gets clicks, and clicks is what gets me charity money, and that's the roundabout of it, which I don't think is a good way to run a debate channel. And as I've said, or as I was going to say a little while ago, James has also moved away from trying to run the channel, right? He may set them up and stuff, but he doesn't want to be the moderator anymore because he doesn't want to put his face on this shit.
Right.
And he realizes, I think he realizes that it's not a good optic for somebody who's got a PhD and is trying to start a career outside of this,
I think he might want to have a deeper, talk with his internal self about what is good, right, and righteous in the world, and maybe try to perpetuate something that he would gladly and be proud to put his face on. Because that, from what you just told me there, if that's the case, I think that's a sign that he should stop doing what he's doing if, in fact, he's worried about his face being connected to it. Yeah.
It's too valuable, though. That's the point. It's too valuable because it's already a big channel, which gets eyes, and more than that, of course, they have that monetization thing where send in super chats if you want your questions asked. And that's appealing to the fans, right? The fans of the individual debaters.
Well, if ultimately at the end of the day, money is causing us to create businesses that we wouldn't want to attach our face to, that's terrifying.
That's my personal feeling. Yeah, that's my personal feeling that he's finally got a bit too and he's had to come back and do it because all the moderators quit. After a little while, they all go, "Fuck this! This is stupid." Why am I doing this for nothing or next to nothing?
Yeah. Well, I think we've exhausted
and the fact
that
you
a
need
bit.
Moderators, as you said, is the real point there.
Yeah.
If you can't pick the topics well enough that you have to have a moderator, then
right. Does anyone else have anything to weigh on? I have to take a quick break to have something to eat, so I'm just going to kind of open the mic to whoever wants to say anything about today's topic. Does anyone want to take the reins and take a shot at moving things along?
I call Perry. Perry, you take the reins.
Robin said first, so Robin, it's all you.
Oh God.
I like to be in charge. I love it. Okay. I love it.
It's all you, Robin.
All right, go.
Thank you.
Do it.
I'll do it next time.
Okay, I'm sorry. You can do it next time. I'm the elder, so yeah. There you go. Ladies first, and I'm the elder. All right, but if you have something to say, Trey, you go ahead. Like we've been kind of giving modern day. Like I don't have anything against James. Actually, James has been really, really nice to me every time I've ever engaged with him. I know he does do good charity work. So, but I think he just, like you said, he's doing it if he's doing it to raise money for his charity, I guess, it's sometimes that's just an opinion, whether the ends justify the means, I guess, is what that boils down to. But go ahead if you got something, Trey.
Well, actually, I'm thinking about this different way now. Public debate. Andrew Wilson bad for public debate, maybe in some people's eyes. Well, I think about, would Karl Marx be bad for public debate? Certainly the world would look much different than it looks now. Would I have wanted to prevent him from public debate? I don't know. I can't say 100% because I was not in that position, but is someone like that has a, let's just say it's a catastrophic event, whether that be Karl Marx or somebody else, would you want to prevent them from being a public debater?
Yeah, like I think Karl Marx did like participate in public debate. He wrote all of his ideals into a book and published it and stuff. So, like, I think that that is when you are producing content that other people are engaged, like reading. I think that is sort of a public debate. But and I don't, like I said, I don't think that we should not, like, I don't think that we should silence Andrew. Because I don't think that Andrew will ever realize how bad his positions are, and if he's not ever like engaged with. I just wished he was. I just don't think he's good faith. Like, or I can just say that in like one circumstance that I don't think he was good faith. I'm pretty sure he was not. And he debated my friend Mark Reed, and he involved. He was less bad faith in that than he was against Matt. Matt. I mean, Matt.
The proper thing to do, though, would be to let someone like Karl Marx or someone just talk. That would be the proper thing to do, right?
Well, I mean, Karl Marx wrote a book. Like, he put his ideals down. Like, and believe it or not, there's a lot of people who actually agree with his ideals. So, like, it's, I mean, like, I don't know that I would, like, I would say that, Mustache Man was somebody that maybe we might, could have thought about silencing at one time. And, I mean, like, so, like, Karl Marx seems less problematic to me than him.
Yeah, like, sorry, I've just got to ask this. What you think Karl Marx should be banned from debating? For what reason?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
No,
I didn't
said,
understand why.
No, I just said the proper thing to do would be to let him publicly debate.
Yes. Of course, he's a
Even
philosopher and he has some interesting points to make. Yeah.
And even though I believe his ideas have been catastrophic, I believe the proper thing to do would be to let him debate, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And for the same reason, we should let Wilson debate, right? His bad ideas need to be exposed to fresh sunlight, so people can understand that he's wrong. Right? And I would say the same thing about Karl Marx. There are a few exceptions here, right? So, like with modern day debate, there's a few people that are just flat out anti-Semitic, and they're hiding that, right? But I know that they are. I've seen them in a private hangout deliberately saying things which are anti-Semitic, and not just in the way of defending somebody else, but literally saying racist things towards the whole group, right? So, which is the very definition of anti-Semitic. So, and I know that James knows that, and he still has these people on time and time again. And I just think, okay, if you're going to expose the fact that they're anti-Semitic, that's fair enough. But of course, that never happens on the debate because they've been told not to, and they know better anyway because they're on YouTube. So, yeah, I mean,
well, that's why Piers Morgan has. I think Piers Morgan has a diverse following because he brings on people like Nick Fuentes and all these kinds of different voices, and he tries to expose them. Sometimes it goes good, sometimes it goes bad. But
that's fair enough.
These people do need to come out. They need to be brought. The ideas need to be brought out.
Yeah, well, they need to be exposed. That's for sure. I mean, we don't need to hear the ideas necessarily. We need to know those people that hold these ideas.
I mean,
well, you should learn about the ideas too, though, right? I mean, just because you learn about somebody who holds an idea does not in any way represent the totality of that idea, correct?
Yes.
I don't know. In what sense the whole idea? I mean, in what sense can somebody be a racist and not hold the whole idea of
No, no,
racism.
no. Think about it in any other term that you're like quantifying this with. Um, and you'll see what I mean, right? Just because you like trying to separate the work that a racist base their belief on from the racist and saying, well, it's not about the work. You don't need to read that. You just need to know that they're racist. Yeah, but you need to know the shit that they've read, what's made them be a racist in the first place. That's like the attack point. That's what you got to stop before it gets to them, right?
Well, I mean, I don't think we're going to stop that in a hurry. I mean, once the books are out there, they're out there. You can't take it back because it's the
No,
internet.
you fight it with better
So,
ideas. You fight it with better
oh
ideas. You
no,
don't
you
ignore it.
definitely, yeah, definitely, you should expose those ideas as well if you can.
Yeah.
But what's more important is that you're exposing the people that hold these ideas. I don't think the ideas are ever going to stand under most people's moral systems. So, I mean,
No,
that's
but I
just
mean,
a work of trivial. That's a trivial thing to say. Oh, look, these ideas of I don't know, eugenics or dysgenics are good ideas for societies. Well, they only are a
yeah,
good
yeah, yeah.
idea if you think
Hold it.
if
Yeah,
you got no if they're only hang on they're only a good idea if you've got no understanding of biology.
yeah, that's you are drawing some pretty weird connections there.
I don't think so.
Uh,
If
yeah,
you
like
think that
I'm
if
not
you
just
think
trying to
there's a
figure out what
superior race
you're even
and you
going
don't
with the
understand
connections that
biology,
you're trying to draw. That doesn't make much sense to me. To yeah, let me think about
right?
that for a minute.
I think we're talking.
So
I think y'all are talking past each other. Like,
the idea here is that if you think there is a superior race on the planet, you don't understand evolution, you don't understand biology. That's the fact of it.
I don't think Scott don't hold that position at all. That's what I'm saying. I think.
No, I know he doesn't. I'm explaining why. We're talking about
Yeah.
somebody else.
I think,
That's
yeah,
a racist.
I think y'all, I think like you're like he like maybe I don't know, but there's
Yeah, I would just go like, what's
here.
into how these people are going about learning this information? Where is it coming from? Obviously, that information isn't being battled where they're getting it, right? Like, it's one of those things. Like, if you're not going to go like one of Travis's favorite people, the black gentleman who goes into like the KKK, right? Like, you've got to be willing to go
Yeah, Daryl
into their
Davis.
shit and like hash it out, right?
And I just said his name while ago, and now I can't think of it again.
Daryl
Uh,
Davis.
Daryl Davis,
Rob
yes,
Davis, yeah.
and he's Davis, and that's my maiden name. So that's crazy. Yeah, okay. I forgot it.
Like I said, I think those ideas personally have been debunked many, many times. I know where they come from. I mean, I've done a deep dive in the history of those kind of ideas,
Yeah.
and we're never going to get we're never going to get to the point where it's a matter of being able to suppress those ideas. The idea for me now is that we need to know who those people are, so appropriate measures can be taken. And when you interact with them, you know that they're being disingenuous if they deny it.
Yeah, but then
My
again, like
goal has always been with racists is to call them out for it.
yeah,
I
of course
used to
you got to call
I used to
people
go
out.
into racist. I used to go into racist servers, make
Yes,
anti-racist statements, and then wait
yeah,
for them to come for
unless
me.
these people are being born racist, they're learning it from
No,
somewhere, right? Like,
yeah. It's indoctrination, same as
yeah,
religion.
Yeah, that's where we get in.
That's how it's passed
That's
generation
where we
to
get
generation.
into like how much parenting can the state or society actually be involved in a child's upraising, like because parents do have a certain amount of autonomy over their children in this country. So like okay, let me get like somebody else. Let's see, Anka, did anybody else have anything they want to say? If you unmute, I will know you want to talk. Because I feel like like 3 or 4 of us. Scott, are you done? Did you want to keep saying something?
oh no, I'm good. Go ahead.
You sure?
Yeah, absolutely.
I have one thing.
Okay.
Generally speaking, Chinese people look Chinese.
Very good, Casey. That takes it. Yeah. Very astute. Very astute.
Look, change.
Unless they don't. You should
What
have
about you,
added on the end.
Dawn? Dawn, would you like to say something else now that you can finally speak? Because I love your voice.
Thank you. No, just glad to be back and enjoying the conversation, guys. You keep it up.
Yeah, I'm glad you're back too. Definitely. Perry, are you busy or
Nobody wants to hear from Perry. Nobody.
Phantom? How about you, Phantom? You haven't said a word. You're always quiet, Phantom. No.
I've seen him get down in a text chat. He keeps spreadsheets.
Yes, Phantom. Yeah, he's
Ultimate boss.
Yeah. Anybody else? I don't know. Nobody's wanting to unmute, so.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of that have been talked about. I've just been
There's
appreciating
Robert.
the whole conversation.
Yes.
And who's?
I said there's Robert, but he hasn't been.
Oh, there.
I don't guess he's been listening.
He's been listening for a while. Yeah.
Oh.
Go ahead, Robert.
No.
I have a question for Robert, but it's not on this topic.
Do it.
Go ahead.
No. I'm not going to ask because that's going to shift us. I'm not going to do it.
Do it. There's
we can
nothing
shift. We can shift, dude.
Shift.
No,
Go
I
ahead.
don't want to. I don't want to shift. I don't want to shift.
Tell me what it is.
If you're not, then I'll say something on the subject.
Oh my God. Okay, I'm just gonna say one thing, and I'm not even gonna rebuttal. I'm just gonna say, Robert said last time that he doesn't want the government making decisions on abortion. But if abortion is healthcare and the government does healthcare in one way or another, then it has to make decisions. And that's all I'm going to say. I want to shift it back. I don't want to talk about abortion.
Okay, yeah. Okay. Nivik, what do you think about? Do you think we should have public debates?
Oh, that's what you're talking about?
Yes, forward. That's the prompt. Did you not read the prompt before you come in here?
I don't like the wording of the prompt. I'll say that.
Okay.
Yeah, we should. Yeah, we should.
What's your issue, Robert?
I think public debates I think the subject of morality and epistemology are two different things. And I think debate is to help with epistemic questions. And I think you can't really know how to make proper decisions unless you have proper epistemic understanding. So there are things that are true statements and false statements, and they have nothing to do with our ought intuitions. So we have to know the true things before we can make proper ought distinctions. And that needs to be hashed out in debate. Just getting in there and putting two oughts against one another, you're talking about different things. Like we did this with the antinatalist, and the antinatalist takes the position that I do not care or am not concerned with the end of humanity. And you say, okay, I am concerned with that. What's there to debate? Like you have two different ought positions. There's no ground. You're concerned with a thing that he's not concerned with, and that's a total framework.
Well, I mean, is there you don't think there's any utility in like trying to use an argument, like a reasonable argument to convince somebody of why they should like take a different position though?
I think more often than not, people have the same ought positions. They just go about them differently, or all of the things that are informing the decisions around that are misinformed. I think racist people, for example, they're heavily misinformed. And that's like the question of race and race equality it's not a moral issue. This is an epistemic thing. Like people genuinely don't understand what's going on. That they genuinely think that one race could be superior to another, and they don't know anything about biology. This is an epistemic problem.
I mean, one can make the case that that's selective. That's selective in them choosing that, though, right? Like they are be staying away from information that would prove them wrong.
Yeah, it's certainly based in ignorance. Yeah.
You really believe racists are dumb?
Generally ignorant. Yeah.
Not dumb, ignorant.
I think what he's saying though is like, but like it I would say that yeah, it is an epistemic issue, but like, I think that once you become an adult and you can like we have all kinds of information that you can find out anything. I can find out like about quarks, and I have no idea what they even are. But
yeah, studied phrenology. It's on.
Yeah, yeah. So like, but they could find it. Like they could do some of this research. Like you said, that's probably the choice to be willful ignorance, maybe.
Yeah.
But
I'll give you an example, though, Robin. Here's the difference.
Okay.
And I guess I'll just kind of make this as a claim and see what people think about it. Epistemic things can be changed by information, and we can communicate and we can debate things and show new information, and people can change their position in an epistemic way. But if people have a moral ought position and that just is their value thing, that only changes through lived experience. So if someone, for instance, doesn't care if animals, let's say if they don't care if a cat or a dog is killed, they just do not care. Is there something that me or you could pose as an argument that would change that? Or would it only be their interaction and connection with those animals that changes it? And it seems to me like ought things are lived experience changes. Like,
well, you have a real
information.
You have a real conversation. You don't have a bullshit conversation. It's how you change. How you change. Will more get through the person. Like you could talk about like what's the real main driver, why a person doing what they're doing, or you can just have them gaslight you.
Like I think that public debate is good about moving societal ideals along, like more than just like on an individual basis. Like I think that public debate has moves societal image. Like we had like for years, gay marriage was something that was fought against. And I'm going to bring up gay marriage because it's Pride Month, but it was fought against. And it seemed like that once, I know that there was a lot of street epistemology people who were working on, like door to door on trying to get gay marriage legalized. And they were doing that, going house to house to house. There was lots of people doing that. And so I feel like that the public debate around that topic, just eventually the floodgate broke, and it became something that we kind of, a majority of Americans right now support, same-sex marriage. Yeah. And so like it seemed like that it would probably never went anywhere if it hadn't been for the debates. But like who knows?
Well, I agree.
If the public debates were more important than the street, like I didn't know. See, I never knew this at the time, but there were people in California and stuff like that were going door to door constantly and working their communities on this topic. And I think it made a whole lot of difference. But that's not really public debate, I don't guess either. So
I don't think there's a particular argument though that did more for this subject than like studies like Pam Labs with the twin studies. These study after study that show genetic predispositions, genetic markers, and then the interaction with people in their family, like so on the moral side, and the moral heart change primarily happens interacting with people that are gay and just understanding and having friendships with those people. And then there's this moral change in how you interact with people. But as far as the accepting that this is a genetic predisposition, this is a big part of it. And that's an epistemic question. So people, if they have all of these animosities and they have this ick factor and they don't know what to do with it, and religion has taught them, oh no, this is bad, this is sinful, then the only thing that's really combating that is information and studies. And when it comes to debates, those things, and they seem to carry more weight. Understanding that this happens in nature, that it happens in animals, that it happens everywhere, and it's been happening for a very, very long time. It does, I think, more on the epistemic side as far as the moral side. Like, they have to engage with people that they demonize and realize that they're people. And that probably does more on the moral side.
Yes, and that speaks to the ignorance of like people. Like I live in Kentucky. There's a lot of people here who they backwards views about things like that, and it's just because they don't know anybody that is gay, maybe, or you know, what I mean, or they might know one, but they've not expressed it to them, and so I would agree with that. I think that does like that experience, like transgender people. I think they're like people are like I can't remember what the specific percentage is, but they are more likely, so, like a huge amount more likely to actually be accepting of a transgender person if they are actually acquainted with one. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
No one personally.
Yeah. Anybody else?
Robin, what was the name of that religious group, the family, the God Hates Fags family?
You talking about the church, the Westboro
Westboro
Baptist
Baptist Church. Yeah, 'cause it really is just like one family that's their church.
Well, and if you keep up with them, like a bunch of those children have left that church.
Yeah.
Like that one particular girl that used to carry that big sign all the time.
You're talking about Westboro Baptist?
Yeah, Westboro Baptist. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
It's
and of course the guy died.
It's in Topeka, Kansas. Yeah, the main guy that was running it, I think he did pass.
Yeah, he passed away, but his daughter, like two or three of his children, actually ended up like leaving that whole scene.
Yeah.
But they taught.
That's the same for.
Yeah.
Do you know who Derek Black is?
I know Derek Black, and he wrote a good book.
Yeah.
It's
That's
coming
great.
out of hate, coming up out of hate, rising out of hate. I think is what it's called.
I mean, yeah, he pretty much ran that website with his dad for fucking years since he was like a little kid.
Yes, he was like
He's wondering what magazine we're talking about.
what's his I'm trying to think of the website and I can't think of it. But like his stepfather was David Duke.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow, number of these people that have got a connection with Louis Theroux, unbelievable.
Yeah.
With the actor? What?
Derek has a good story, like a really good story. That's a good book. That's a really good book. Rising out of hate is what it's called.
Yeah.
And so, and
that was
we're dead naming him too, and I shouldn't even say that name anymore because she actually does not go by that name anymore. She has transitioned.
I mean, that makes me think a lot about the Duggars, and they had a documentary come out, the Shiny Happy People, for some of the family members from that, and the whole IBLP organization. Like any group that is trying to isolate you from the greater population and try to demonize certain aspects, and it can be subtle. But go ahead, Scott.
Did that dad rape all the daughters, or is it just a handful?
The Duggar, it wasn't the dad. It was the oldest son that molested, I think it was 2 or 3 of his younger sisters. But then he also, like, that happened when he was 15. And as he got into adulthood, the police investigation that came out, the police were saying it was some of the worst cases of CP that they'd ever seen. Like, just disgusting. Yeah. Like,
yeah,
I don't.
I want to say Adrian Black is her name now, and I apologize to her for using her dead name and misgendering her. Yeah,
good catch.
Yeah, I totally forgot about it. I'm like, I lost. I just completely set that aside for a minute and forgot what had happened. But,
I think that people.
Yeah.
I think that people think that if a person isn't ignorant, then they're bad, and that's not necessarily the case. If a person is they don't know the right answer, then they're they'll be desperate. But you have to. That's why I say it's good to understand like why a person is resorting to what they're resorting to, and help them out there. If I knew a friend was in a very desperate situation, I probably would think twice about lending him my expensive bike, right? Because I wouldn't blame him for selling it. You know, the bike that I just bought, because that's just he's desperate for money, and
Some people you never know. My brother-in-law sold my shotgun. I borrowed it to him to let go hunting, and he sold my darn pawned my shotgun. And I didn't think he was hard up or anything. He just wasn't as concerned about people's stuff. It wasn't
That's
as much about.
crazy. That is crazy.
It's okay.
Oh my
It's all
god.
right. It's all right. We were gonna have problems over the situation, and he offered me his grandpa's old Davison shotgun, which is it's an antique crack barrel. And I was like, nah, that shotgun's not good enough to replace my shotgun. And my wife urged me to take it because it was her pawpaw's and it was an antique. And I was like, all right.
So
She's like, well, he'll just pawn it, and we'd rather keep it in the family. So I agreed to take that old Davison.
Yeah,
So what
yeah.
are you trying to say? What are you trying to say about your brother then? If he wasn't hard up and he just sold it, I don't know, for shits and giggles, then he didn't necessarily have to. You're trying to tell us about your brother.
I'm not trying to tell you anything about it. What I'm trying to tell you is about people in general, that there are many people that just don't have the moral considerations about property or things like that. Like that's not as big of a thing to them to think, oh, this belongs to another person and that I'm stepping over a boundary to sell that. They just think, oh, well, I'll pay them back later or whatever. And they don't think about the like lines of discourse that they're stepping over. And there's many people like that.
Be careful with those people and find out if they feel the same way when it's their stuff.
Are you saying a bigot is not ignorant? They're just jerks.
Oh yeah, no, I would never spoke about bigots. I didn't know that the lingering subject of bigots was even in here.
That's new.
Yeah.
No. Yes, it was.
He brought up.
We were talking about people. We're saying, well, people are just ignorant, And I'm like, okay, it's either that or they have their malice and their intent, and I'm like, well, no, that they don't necessarily have to be just because like a person doesn't necessarily have to have malice, in their intent. Go ahead.
Let's get back to the topic, because Travis will come in here and be like, "What are you doing, Robin? You're like herding cats." But
you tell him when he's gone, you pick the subject.
I know. I told him I want to be in charge. But the public debate, and like we had some like fan, I guess, didn't want to talk because he said he wasn't around his PC. But I feel like that I feel like somebody, Hizzle or Simos, do you have some more you want to say, or Scott, or do you want to talk about debate, Niven?
You think like jumping off the topic?
Yeah.
I kind of have a point off of Nivix.
Okay, go ahead.
Because I did, I think it's relating. We can loop it back in.
She's talking about Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, she's talking about like how it's difficult to have a conversation with the person and they're just ignorant, and a lot of times people are torn. Is a person is just an insensitive bigot douchebag, or they're just ignorant? You got to reason to them, and in order to have them understand what right from wrong. And I'm just saying that a person that because Robin said that one time, just because a person is ignorant. No, sometimes people make a mistake and think a person is malice when they're just ignorant.
I said
And-
never attribute something to malice that can be explained through
Through ignorance.
incompetence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Incompetence. No, you said ignorance.
Who it's from.
Because my thing is, I think most people are good people. There can be like most of the time we'll be acting with good intentions. You'll have the outliers for sure. And there you can have people that are like, Robert, was it your brother that sold your shotgun? Brother-in-law. Yeah. So like people can do fucked up things like that. Does that make him a bad person altogether? I mean, at what point do you decide that this isn't a good person for me to be around? That doesn't mean that I think they, going back to our conversation the other night, that they don't have value and shouldn't have opportunities to learn or be exposed to different ways of thinking and behaving, all that kind of stuff. But to kind of tie that into the debate structure, that kind of comes down to just watching people and their behavior over time. And with that initial assumption, for me, that's what I go off of. Like, if I've never seen somebody before, I'm going to just be like, oh, what's this good person have to say? And maybe they'll say something like really extreme right off the bat. And I'm like, ooh, okay. I try to hedge myself and not be like, well, what a horrible person. Because I do have that gut reaction still sometimes. But it might just be that particular topic. It might be that it's kind of across the spectrum, that they've got views that I think are just horrible. And that's where, having people that can counter those on a public stage, I think is incredibly important to me. I'd rather see them being countered rather than just having a regular platform where they're just spouting off to a whole echo chamber,
Yeah. That's something people are regularly concerned with. That there's almost this infighting about platforming, that when you have a debate with someone, there's inevitably someone that's going to step forward and say, well, you're just platforming that person and allowing their views to be seen. And this is always a concern. But these are ideals that are competing, and hopefully in a good way. They're competing with one another in a good way, with good faith arguments. And I think to the degree that they are, the platforming argument for me, it's never sold me.
Yeah, it shouldn't. Go ahead, Sam.
I have something to say on that topic, which is an interesting one. I feel, which is there was a debate there was a platform given to a Holocaust denier in the UK on, I think it was the Cambridge stage, and the reason that was done, or the reason they thought it should be done, when it's illegal in several countries to hold that position, of course, wasn't just to expose him, but it was done because there were people there with the adequate education to be able to debunk it in real time, right? And take on the arguments factually and not emotionally. And so this guy got an absolute trouncing that his so-called scientific historical book, right, had lots of errors in, and because they were historians of the Second World War, they knew the errors, and therefore they could debunk them real time. So that's quite an important point. Sorry, let me just finish up quickly. That's quite an important point when you talk about giving people with bad ideas the sunlight of debate. And that's the point about Andrew Wilson as well, which is if someone takes on a debate with him, it shouldn't just be any old person. It's got to be somebody with the right knowledge, the right philosophical knowledge, the right logical knowledge, and the right knowledge on the particular topic of that debate. Otherwise, he's just going to run rhetoric around people again, because that's what he does. So same with Christopher Hitchens. Like they never put anybody up against Hitchens that would actually take on his topics head on, right? That had that knowledge to be able to do that, and that's why he won quite a lot of his debates.
Yeah, so that's another problem with some platform that claims to be a neutral debate platform. The effects of those conversations you are producing are not neutral, and you're providing the platform for them. You have responsibility to make sure that if you're setting up like a good faith, helpful debate between a Holocaust denier and someone else, you have a responsibility to make sure that there is adequate defense happening either way. To think that you can just like slap neutrality on your platform and just like reap the algorithmic benefits of the nonsense and chaos that happens on your stage. And like we were talking before, like when you said James from Modern Day Debate is, he seems to be worried about still having his face, given his PhD credentials and whatnot, having his face on that platform. I can understand what I can't understand ethically is how he would continue to do that when he's not willing to plant his face on it, because he does, in fact, if he's going to keep marching Andrew Wilson out there against people who, in some cases are not at all qualified to be debating someone like him who's got the rhetorical talent that he has, that's immoral. It's a bad thing to be doing. So platformers need to take this into consideration in the debate space, and for the pure platformers out there who or the people who think that there are certain things that don't need to be debated, bad ideas, because eventually they'll just be pushed into the outskirts of society and fade away. Actually, the sociological data we have on this is contrary to that. Those ideas don't just get pushed to the corner and fade away. When they remain unchallenged in a way that's basically you can't avoid, when they remain challenged to that level, that is the thing that has the positive effect in the war of ideas, not the trying to siphon off and stifle the ideas. And just to also add, I need to add Daryl Davis to the conversation, which I always do whenever I have an opportunity, is that if Daryl Davis has shown that even KKK members, when having a dialectic with a black man, can be disrobed, not just on a couple occasions, hundreds of times. Daryl Davis has collected hundreds of KKK member robes throughout his heroic, war of ideas against the white supremacists. People should be asking Daryl Davis, how did you accomplish this? Well, he accomplished it by way of the good faith, helpful dialectic, realizing that it's helpful to engage in, find common ground conversations, like starting with music and how music is different between the races and things like that. Like Daryl Davis is a bloody master at this. So a lot of these cancel culture type ideas, and it's not just on the left, it's on the right too. A lot of these cancel culture ideas are just completely so easy to debunk. It's unbelievable once you ask them what their rationale is behind wanting to not platform a particular individual.
Simos, have you ever thought of asking whether the person is ignorant or they're just wicked or they have a motive? Hello? Are you talking?
Yeah, I was. Ask them. I'm not sure whether that's exactly the right line I would go down.
Why?
Because
Are you wicked?
If they're acting as a bad faith actor, they're going to say no, aren't they? So it's kind of it only catches one side of the argument. But for sure.
Not ask them that. I meant as in that question that to yourself.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I would speak to people that I generally, 10 minutes into a conversation, and I go, okay, they just don't know what they're talking about, and it's not through some kind of malice or willful avoidance. It's just that they haven't considered the question enough, and they haven't reflected on their position, or etc. They're not done the research. I had a guy on that I spoke to in, I can't remember where it was, but I had a really nice guy on. He was a Christian, and he wanted to proselytize to me because I was pushing back. And I said, yeah, okay, well, come on my channel. We can have the conversation because, you know, you're generally a good person and a good faith person to talk to, but you just don't have, you know, the philosophical chops to be an apologist, right? So I said, yeah, come on, all right. And I didn't push back because I realized that the reason he didn't have those chops is because that's not where his forte lay. His forte lay in being a good representation of a Christian and holding in good faith Jesus's proclamations to be a man of the people and to help people regardless of their situation and those kind of things. So there was no malice there at all. It was just good, honest. You know, I think we should have communities which are brought together through Jesus Christ in order to help each other progress. And I would go around doing that regardless of the person. He told me several stories about people that he'd helped, selfishly helped, even though he wasn't in a position necessarily to be able to afford it. And so I just said, okay, and there's no point in me pushing back here because, you know, he's just not up to the debate, number one. And if I start saying, oh, well, what are your presuppositions? Then he's just going to go, I don't know what you're talking about. So what's the point you're talking to him about it? Let's just hear what he's got to say on his Jesus claims and say, yeah, okay, I understand you believe that. You understand I don't believe that. That's all that needs to be said on the subject. And, you know, well done for being a good human being, you know. And I'm happy for you to spread your stories on my channel. I mean, it's not a problem to me. He thinks it's because Jesus told him to do it, and that's fine. I don't care. He's still doing good for people that are in need in his local community. That's what really counts.
I got a little bit of pushback from a few different people from Claire Call whenever I hosted her on the channel. I didn't know if you knew that. But
we had the same thing 10 years ago when she first came on the scene.
Yeah,
she hasn't changed her rhetoric at all.
No, but I'm saying I got like several people that were like, "Oh, you shouldn't be hosting that, this, that, and the other," platforming her, which I mean, I thought I was well-rounded and very knowledgeable on all the subjects that were coming up. I thought that she looked very embarrassing, her and Vincent, by the end of that debate. I thought that they were stumbling all over themselves and looked very embarrassing myself. But I definitely got pushback that from a few people that said that I was platforming by bringing them on and talking about these things.
I disagree.
Yeah, I mean,
she told me that I should be publicly flogged twice. But like they didn't watch my short that I made of you saying about her. So obviously, because you laid into her like you did not.
Oh, in the on the Objective Ethics channel.
Yeah, on that short I made.
And they will.
Yeah, you were, but like she did. I mean, like I said, she told me I should be publicly flogged for having my children. So like. I think
about 10 years ago or so, she, you know, had not quite so extreme views as she does now. They've got worse over the years, I will say that. And then secondly, you know, this guy that came, I mean, what a mess. This guy that she's associated with, right, came on and
Vincent.
Whatever his name is, he advocated for a reformed beyondism. And I don't know if you know what beyondism is, but it's basically a right-wing kind of ideology of segregation and eugenics.
Yeah, we had him too. We talked to him too.
Right, and that's Claire's position as well. Now she's gone down this segregation route. So I'm just, you know, I'm not interested in what she's got to say at all. And I think I tried to tell you this at the time, Robert. I was one of the guys pushing back, just saying, yeah, all right, have your conversation and stuff. That's fine. bring it to light, right? But bearing in mind, you know, this person has some pretty hideous views, which.
Oh yeah,
you know,
I think we put them on full display.
Yeah, exactly, and that's fine. Yeah. And then once you're done, right? You don't need to.
Yeah.
Like keep bringing it back up, otherwise you're just farming views, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think she got any
That-
followers from us on that.
Oh, of course not. No, of course not. It's crazy to think that you can add the word secular before a religion, and just go, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it's crazy.
I don't know, Travis, have you ever heard of secular Quranism? I think maybe I might have mentioned it to y'all in like a room or something.
The only I've heard of it is
You're
through
muted,
you.
Travis.
Oh, sorry. The only only time I've ever heard of it is through you, Robin. So besides that, I have not heard.
Oh, she's a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, it's pretty disgusting. It really is.
Yeah.
And what is what is secular Quranism in just like a short
Sharia law,
Sharia law?
everywhere. Yeah,
Yeah.
Sharia law and stages.
There's no need to put the law on it.
Yeah. Well, Sharia.
Just Sharia.
Sharia. And then they have also, which is not Sharia, which is some models of races. Like they wanted to use race codes to identify people at birth and have them inside of categories and have government judgment based on their performances and curtail certain freedoms and give certain freedoms based on the performances of the races.
Yikes.
Well, a little more than that. To
Yeah, a little more than
segregate
that.
them.
That's the short
Little
version.
more. So I know.
Just go
To
along with
segregate-
it. Say you're
so
okay
just
with
hang
it.
on.
Okay.
To segregate them, right, into different communities, and then let evolution decide which community is the best and most superior.
Just go along
Wow.
with it and work in a way that puts
I
them
know,
at the
just
bo-
wow,
put-
isn't it?
Just
All
put
you can
just
say.
just work it out in a way that puts them at the bottom, and I'm sure they'll be on board with that. Like, just reason
I'm not
everything
sure
out
that's
that
how you
makes
play the
them be-
game, Nivik.
No, that's not it.
Hmm?
I think I pointed out to that guy that he wouldn't be allowed in his preferred segregated group.
Yeah.
How do I play the game? Put him at the top. That's how I play it.
You don't put them in.
No, you don't.
You dismantle
put 'em in.
that ideal. The whole ideal is a bad ideal. You don't say, "Let's go with it." Then we'll shit on your group.
No, I mean, but I'm sure it coincidentally works out in a way that benefits him, right? I'm just going out on a limb here. I doubt he's going to he's going to conclude that he should be on a chopping block.
Well, there's a he and there's a she involved in this, and I want to be clear. If someone is already content with the idea that they are a second-class citizen as a woman and that they should be secondary, and they're content that men should be the only governance, and that every woman, like themselves, running anything is the problem with the world today, then I think putting them lower down on the block is not going to deter them at all.
I'm so tempted to hit a soundboard right here.
She's second. She's second from the top, though. She's not dead last.
I would suggest anybody like that's listening to go and look at at that information, because it is truly horrible ideal. Even Jordan Peterson wrote a Substack about it. He was not impressed at all. Jordan Peterson was.
Think again, sunshine.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Moralists.
Going along with a hierarchy where I'm second from the top.
You're not even competing with the damn thing.
I need that one.
Nobody's gonna
not even contending with it.
Nobody's gonna put me in charge of setting up the system to begin with. So I won't be in charge of where she goes in the system. If we had that power, we wouldn't even have to worry about it. We would be in charge now.
She's not a serious thinker in any sense of the word. Travis, could you just say in your best Jordan Peterson verse, you wouldn't even be halfway up the stairs?
You wouldn't even be halfway up the stairs, bucko.
Now clip that.
Well, we got it on recording, so.
Fantastic.
So I did a long string of shorts where I was doing impersonations of Jordan Peterson, You wouldn't imagine the amount of Jordan Peterson's sycophants that were like, why do you hate Jordan Peterson all of a sudden? I'm like, like doing an impersonation of him makes you think I hate him. But like, this has been a relationship I've had with the Jordan Peterson sycophants for a long time. I'll like put out a critique video, and then they will start off by the reason why you hate Jordan Peterson. I'm like, do you not believe in the like the essence of like and the importance of intellectual critique and argument and these kinds of things, and that it doesn't necessarily mean you hate someone if you disagree with them? Like holy fucking shitballs.
What do y'all think that slightly tangential, but the idea that imitation is the highest form of flattery?
I do not believe that.
Okay. It's like, I do it sometimes out of love, but yeah, other times it's like I'm poking fun at something like, yeah, it's not a great idea, but
yeah, that is a pre-internet ideal. In the post-internet world, that's just not true.
Depends
I
on
think the one area that might have some leeway on that, Travis, would be music. Because if you listen to music, you know how much stuff is fucking.
Yeah. That's a good point about if we look at music specifically. Yeah.
Yeah, and it depends on the person that you, like, if you're if they take themselves really serious or not, like, because and then some people like the idea of living rent free in other people's heads. So
nobody opens themselves up to more like impersonations of themselves than the person who's just constantly heavy-hearted, who doesn't seem to have a light-hearted bone in their body. Like, and Jordan is one of those people that, like, I think any level of lightheartedness that comes out of him seems like very forced and awkward for him, which I think speaks to a lot of the suffering he goes through. But
what's great is when somebody's like that and you are lighthearted, how they just start to get like upset about it.
Well,
Here,
I was going to say, like, yeah, that's what. Yeah, go ahead.
Leave Jordan alone.
I would say Trump is.
That was one of the original memes. Leave Britney alone.
Yeah, it's like I mean, what I like to see happen is if you throw a little lighthearted jab at someone, then they start like relaxing a bit, open up, and they're like, yeah, this isn't such a a heavy-hearted environment. Sometimes people come in though with such a heavy-hearted cloud over their head that you're like, holy fuck, where do I even start with this? Like, it seems like we're in a hurricane and we just kind of like got our socks off,
Yeah. Yeah, just imagine what that person is going through, because like to them, they are going through a fucking hurricane.
Well,
they're like, hold the fuck on.
I wish we would have had an fMRI of Konstantin Kissin's brain as he entered the stage and started the conversation with Destiny, because I think we would have seen just a absolute hurricane of emotions going through his head that were quite negatively lensed. Like, I just wish he would have came in and we would have I really believe we would have salvaged a good chunk of that conversation if he would have came in with his, like, I mean, he's had a history as a comedian. He has spent a lot of time refining and expressing his sense of humor. Now, when I say comedian, some people say not the greatest comedian, but still, like, someone who's
very
like
long either.
Yeah,
I actually laughed a lot during that debate. So, like, I will say that.
Yeah.
Like, I found it very amusing how butthurt he got over everything. So
There are two things. There are two things that really can help in a debate. Then one of them is humor, and the other is balls on the chin.
Yeah, Balchinian philosophy, exactly.
I want to know: is this socks off thing? Is that a Canadian turn of phrase, or
I know I've heard it with regards to, like, I think there in some degree it's used in Canada, but when an older Southern lady will be like, just like a man wanted to get me into bed before I even had my socks off. It's a
British thing as well. It's a British phrase.
It's probably connected to British phrase as well. But.
Yeah, dudes generally don't care if you're wearing your socks. I don't think. Like,
yeah. Well, in Scotland, it's almost like love language, I got my loving socks on.
Yeah, and then you think they have socks on, but really it's just their beautiful long lush leg hair.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, yeah. You know, some women are very proud.
Canadian girls.
I think we need to not shame hairy people. Like, yeah.
Well,
I might resent that.
based on my personal preference, I will not shame you, Robin.
Well, I'm like I've been like just in case I've been prepping, so in case I do decide to find me another man, I'm going to like go to the Amish community. I think so. That's it.
You just flash your leg out there, and all the men come running. They're like,
Yes, because I've been told that I would make a great Amish lady.
hey, Mordecai, did you see that new chick that just arrived? She has more hair on her legs than your beard. Oh God, I got to see that. Yeah.
Always the ankles. Always the ankles. Oh, what have the Victorians ever done for us? Oh my God.
So Robert just posted a nice picture of some beautiful sweatpants that you can pick up at Walmart. Oh, wait. Yeah, I mean...
Dear. I didn't know you had such cute feet, Robert.
Yeah. Something tells me this werewolf had their feet waxed before they took this photo.
I was like, how do you have the hairy legs and not the feet?
I would assume their toes to be at least as hairy as the kneecap. That's wild.
Oh my goodness. You can get all sorts of things. Imagine wearing that down the local disco.
That is proof of evolution right there. I'd like to have that picture. I'm saving that picture for missing Maud.
I can tell that's real. Something's been played with here.
Yeah, but I've got to show that to Missy Maud though. She will love it. Yes.
Yeah. There she go. You should go. You see, you atheists.
Yeah. Also, I just feel like the feet don't really match the body type of the legs. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like I think
that could be something you could buy though. Like
I think so. Yeah. I do think that is somebody's sense of humor. It's going to make those. You know.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Well, that image is definitely going to get this video demonetized.
If I could get one for,
No
if I could get
way.
something like
The AI algorithm's going to err on the safe side. Sorry, Simon, go ahead. Yeah.
It's all right. If I could get something like that for the chest, I'd probably wear it. You know.
If women can buy leggings like this, we wouldn't need Sharia law.
Exactly.
Yeah, but it wouldn't. That. Well, I know I can't say that. Can't say that here. Some jokes are too far. Anyway, there we are.
So I'm curious, Travis, in the spirit of the conversation of debate, what do you think are some of the best debates that you've seen that operated with good faith and took turns and were just very copacetic debates?
So one recent one that I really liked, although I didn't like some of the formalized format of the debate, I really liked when they were allowed to go back and forth, but it was Steven Pinker and Ross Douthat. Let me post the link. Steven, what happened there? Steven Pinker, Ross Douthat. I don't know how to pronounce his name. I'll post it right here. This was a very high resolution discussion that contained a lot of good faith and helpfulness, like exemplary amount. So I was happy with that. I think, my ultimate favorite, not to toot my own horn, but also to toot my own horn from our channel's perspective. I think my favorite discussion and debate of all time is Matt Dillahunty versus Jordan Peterson. And one of the things that was best demonstrated in that debate was two guys who were good faith, helpful for the entirety of the discussion, but they were also passionately, intellectually at each other's throats. That made it very exciting. So they didn't lose the good faith and helpfulness, but the passion was that of something I haven't experienced in many debates in my history of viewing live discussions. So that one to date. And I mean, a lot of people are like, really? The Sam Harrison, Jordan Peterson series was way more important. And it's like, yeah, maybe it was more important, but as far as the dialectics concerned, that one for me. I mean, Matt Dillahunty in general on the Pangburn stage, like when he sat down with Dinesh D'Souza, if you guys haven't seen that one, that's another like artful display by both of those guys. So yeah, I mean, I'd have to think back to like some of the old school ones, like some of Noam Chomsky's old school debate content I really like.
So speaking of old school, the most civilized one that I've ever heard, I think it was only radio, but it was, what is this Copplestone's first name? Frederick Copplestone with Bertrand Russell. I don't know if you've ever heard this one.
I've definitely heard that because I know I've heard all of Bertrand Russell's available debates.
I think it was a radio, aired debate. I'm sure you can find it on YouTube.
Yeah.
But just a super civil debate. I mean, I think this is the gold standard of civil debate, of intellectuals having a conversation until they feel like they've both exhausted that subject in their agreement. And then okay, I think we've exhausted this subject. Shall we move to the next? And then they just keep going. Just great. You don't need a moderator with these two at all. Very
this one here, Russell Coppleston, right? Debate.
Yes, this is
Yeah.
My favorite Pangburn debate will always be Alex and Dinesh.
Yeah, a lot of people say that now, where they're like, you know, they were like that. You know what's crazy? After Alex O'Connor was sitting at about 850,000 subscribers, after that debate, because that debate blew up, it has like 1.2 million views now. But after that debate, Alex's popularity skyrocketed. Like we were watching it as the debate was gaining traction in the intellectual community, and so many of us were sharing it around, being like Alex O'Connor is a monster like we've never had on the atheist debate scene. And one of the reasons why I say that is because he doesn't only have the, I would say the rhetorical chops, on par with, not as interesting as Christopher Hitchens, but really good rhetorical chops. But he also has the academic philosophy backing him. So it's like, and that's why I put Alex O'Connor a full tier above someone like Matt Dillahunty. And it's not a shot at Matt Dillahunty personally or anything, but it's just the fact that Alex O'Connor has that extra academia arsenal to him. It's just Dinesh D'Souza got fucked up in that discussion.
Can I just say something on that as well?
Yeah.
Because I found that fascinating, right? Because Alex's history before he went to university even was that he was a big Hitchens fan, right? And one of the things that us Hitchens fans from back then used to say is Hitchens was just too soft on some of these people. Because he was personally engaged with them. And one of those people was Dinesh D'Souza.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
He was just too gentle with Dinesh D'Souza, right? Yeah. And he could have, absolutely wiped the floor, but he chose not to for some reason.
And they were good buddies.
He kept giving charity. There was another one as well, Doug Wilson as well, who turned out to be a bad decision for Hitchens to be engaged with. But the point is that, Hitchens could have completely wrecked Denise, bodied him completely, but he chose not to. So I think when Alex got there, right, that and being an old huge fan, right, I think there was something a little more personal for Alex there with Dinesh.
100%.
Hang on a minute, you're the guy that still claims to hang on the coattails.
I can tell you, Simos, that leading up to that event, these were the conversations between Alex and I. and and Dinesh is always, something about Dinesh. He's always game for a good faith, helpful dialectic. He's not going to shy away from someone if he thinks that they have a chance of absolutely even if they have a chance of pounding him in a debate, he's going to show up. But we talked a lot about the history there, where due to some of the lack of philosophical understanding and grounding that Christopher Hitchens had, because Hitchens was not an academic philosopher, but Hitchens had that awesome rhetorical ability. But I feel like in the when Dinesh was playing the presup in one of their debates with one another, I feel like Hitchens didn't really deal with the presuppositional argument. And some people said that was just Hitchens doing his thing. That's not really his zone. But I feel like whatever happened on the stage between them, and the topic being, is the Bible true, which is something I crafted to be specifically challenging so that they would be forced to start diving into what's true and by what standard of truth and whatnot. But yeah, that additional, scholarship that Alex O'Connor comes with regards to the Bible and with regards to just having I would call a high resolution grasp of philosophy, just like it was the perfect storm to launch him, I feel like, to the next level. Publicly.
I completely agree. But hang on a minute. I just wanted to make one correction, which is Hitchens did have a degree in philosophy.
He did, but I don't consider Hitchens to be an academic philosopher. I understand that he has a degree, but yeah, I think it takes more than that. But I'm not saying that to downplay what Hitchens was good at, but I do think Alex has all the tools. My small thing for Alex is a little bit of not bringing in too heavy-hearted a cloud with you to conversations. It's my only note really where I think Alex can improve is in the level of lightheartedness that he wears on his shoulders. But I've noticed that, as of late, and I think in the D'Souza conversation, he had a level of lightheartedness enough with him that still allowed him to play with Dinesh in the dialectic. It didn't make him get so frustrated and closed off or rigid. He maintained in the play throughout the whole conversation. It was incredibly watching that live was so impressive. And then after Don, myself, and Alex went for drinks, and Alex was just over the moon. He was pounding drinks. We were placing bets on UFC fights that were happening on the screen. He was in that transcending space. He knew in that zone. Yeah. He knew that he had scored a massive victory, not just for him and himself in the debate community, but saying that I really think that this was a statement of we are now in a new era of what the atheists can do in conversations like this to the Christians. So the Christians better watch the fuck out on the debate stage. I think it was a big statement, but
Alex showed, hold on a minute now.
Yeah, go ahead.
Alex showed amazing restraint and patience. He when he poured Dinesh a glass of water.
Oh yeah.
It was hilarious. I found that extremely funny. And he was smart enough he knew that Dinesh was kind of digging his own holes. And he was smart enough to just let Dinesh talk enough to just he didn't even have to destroy him. He kind of destroyed himself in a way. But because Alex recognized the specific amount of that was necessary, I thought that was pretty good.
Well, that was the beautiful thing, is that he'd already dug the holes before Dinesh started running there. That was how good that was. He'd set Dinesh up for every one of those falls well in advance and just said, "Yeah, I know where you're going to run next, and I've already dug that hole, so you go ahead and run there." I thought that was brilliant. And just one other quick thing, which is to say, Alex also had the advantage of having studied all of those debates where Hitchens failed.
Yep.
Right, and he knew them backwards because he was such a fan, right? And he'd done several of his own programs had been talking specifically about how to body Dinesh, right?
Mhm.
And so, I was like, oh, this is going to be brilliant because I know he knows every rhetorical move that Dinesh is going to make, and this is going to be brilliant. So I was so excited to see it, and then when I actually got into watching it, I was like, "Oh my god, I can't believe he's done that! He's literally ended Dinesh's debate career. I mean, ended it, just completely fucking ended it. There's no way this guy could get up on stage and say the same thing again,
Yeah, I'm
anyway, there you go.
I'm not
Sorry,
sure
Robert.
I've seen. Yeah. Sorry, Robert. Go ahead. Yeah.
Oh no, I was saying I've mentioned this before, and I compared it more to giving rope. It was like he was just feeding him the rope to hang himself constantly. It was no, I'll pay. No, here's a little more. Go ahead, run with that. So there was, and even as Robin mentioned, the filling his water. All of it felt like that he was so calm and allowing someone to run with so much of the rhetoric that they were running with before they started folding it back in on themselves.
Yeah, I remember Alex was pretty excited about the proposition when I first sent it to him, and then I remember Dinesh, there used to be a fee that I would pay for Dinesh, and I believe for this one he demanded an extra $5,000 on top of that, and I gave it to him. But financially, it did not attract a large audience publicly, like as far as the actual event is concerned. We probably had a house of maybe 400 people. So didn't attract a huge amount of people. We did it in the Bronx at a university theater, and eventually, obviously, the video did very well online and continues to generate a lot of views and subscribers.
Good, well worth it.
Yeah.
And if you consider some of Alex's previous debates as well, he's always been he always bends over backwards to be good faith, and I think that has cost him. The one with Frank Turek, for instance, when he was still very young and still at college, I think. That was a kind of a difficult one for me because I don't think he showed himself to be as sharp in that debate as he may well have been. Another one that I think Alex enjoys debating the Hitchens people, especially because of his knowledge.
Can you elaborate? What do you mean by bending over a bit more on bending over backwards and being good faith? You mean like gullible or something?
No, certainly not gullible. That's definitely not a word I would use with Alex. But I would say that not, one of the things the British often get accused of is being overly polite. And, that could be like, no, after you, no, after you, no, after you. And if you do that in debate, you're going to get sunk, right? Because the topic's going to change. Topic's going to change before you can really address it. Sorry, what did you say, Robin?
So that's Canadians here. We accuse Canadians of it.
Yeah, Canadians and Japanese, etc., etc. So, and I think he falls foul of that, right? And in that particular debate, Frank Turek was making all the normal arguments, and he could have been bodied, but for some reason, Justin Brealey just kept jumping in every time Alex was getting close to doing that and putting it on. Well, that's a ridiculous argument, Frank. What are you talking about? You're just, begging the question or something like that. And Alex never said any of that. Alex just took it all, and as soon as Justin said something, he would shut himself down. And
So bending over backwards with being good faith is being over polite.
Well, I for one wouldn't use the good faith term there. I think you know, I think it's better stated is that Alex in the past has leaned too far into trying to be like maximally helpful by way of in some cases stifling his passion. And I feel like if you stifle your passion too much and by way of like wanting to be, you know, the most helpful you can be in a conversation, and if that does stifle some of that passion, then you don't get the kind of performance that you see in the Dinesh D'Souza discussion, where I don't think Alex was trying to like hold anything back in that discussion. I think Alex was fully dialed in. Yeah.
The rhetoric was pointed.
Yeah.
It's not something I saw in the Frank Turek debate.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah.
Alex didn't like debating the Hitchens guy though. What's Christopher's brother's name? Peter.
Peter.
Peter, yeah.
Well, yeah. Peter was the one that walked out of that.
That was a train wreck, wasn't it? Yeah. But you expect that if you know Peter Hitchens, that you expect that because like Alex is so far out of that guy's league. I mean,
yeah,
you know,
he didn't like that Alex was asking,
and he doesn't.
Yeah.
He doesn't think that himself. He thinks he's the bee's knees, that Peter Hitchens, because he's a Hitchens and he's been dining out on Christopher's name for so long that he thinks he's as intellectual. And no, there's a reason that Christopher Hitchens went to Bailey College, right? There's a reason. That's because he's fucking smart.
There's a funny thing.
Peter never made it there.
There's a funny thing that after I watched that debate, I was reading the comment section, and there was somebody that said that Peter rode his bike to the Alex's like a place or whatever, and so they were like laughing about thinking about Peter being all mad and like biking, like pedaling, you know, on the way home all puffed up and stuff. And I just like every time I think of that debate, I picture that Peter on like looking like that woman in like the Wizard of Oz, you know, remember the Wicked Witch? She's riding her bike. Anyway.
Yeah, but he went to that. I think he lives in London, so he went to it by train because it was in Oxford, I think. Yeah.
Well, somebody said he rode a bike. I don't know, like he said or something.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he took his bike on the train and then rode from the train station to Oxford. Yeah. It's a usual thing to do in this country, I have to say. Yeah. They have special carriages for bikes, so.
Yeah, we don't have that kind of like rail transportation or.
Yeah, it's too far to go, right? You know, it's too far, obviously. But yeah, there you go. Yeah, I mean, I think that you know, Alex has stepped up. Certainly, once he finished his degree. It seems to me that he spent a bit of extra time on the debate subject, much like Destiny. Like when I first came across Destiny, debates weren't very good, gotta say. But one thing I will say is that he was smart enough to get good quickly.
Yeah.
He went to the right people to debate and learned from them. So
yeah,
kudos to him, you know.
I think that I think that Destiny's improved a lot. Like if you watch the first anti-Trump tour debates, they did in, I think, Detroit maybe was one of the first ones, and they had one in North Carolina, I think, or something like that, South Carolina. And then you watch him when he gets out further out on the West Coast and stuff.
Right.
He gets much better at debating, you know, the Trump supporters and stuff too. And then, of course, Travis and him had him on debate with Dinesh. And see, I never was a big fan of Dinesh because of like that 2000 Mules thing and stuff. But like Don gave like this time when they were on at the Battle of the Capitol when Dinesh debated Destiny up there, and Don Don him said that Dinesh was like he was really, I reckon, like just having a good time, like lighthearted and stuff, like after the event and everything. And Don Don said he was very nice. So like it made me think a whole lot more of him than probably I had before after Don Don and talked about how he engaged with him up there.
Yeah. Yeah, I came across him on starting when he first started debating, or first started going into, I think it was politics and religion as a debate channel to debate people it was on the internet, so to speak. And I listened to him a few times and just thought, okay, well, because he was up against people that were philosophically very astute, it was difficult, you know. Quickly, he kind of realized that he needed to improve his philosophy, and I think he did very quickly after that. This would have been about 2017, maybe, somewhere around there, 2018.
Sometimes things like that remind me that people are not just their ideals. Like there might be a bad ideal they hold that I disagree with, and like it seems like it's almost human nature to just pin that ideal as that person's identity. And like, I think maybe definitely that's a bad ideal to do that all the time.
What do you mean? Are you referring to their characters in Bad Idea, or just them being mistaken?
Well, I mean, I think that like Dinesh has some bad ideals and some bad beliefs, but and I trust Travis and Bon Bon's like evaluation, like an experience with him. So like maybe just because he has these ideals that I disagree with doesn't mean that he's a person that I should think is a bad person. Is what I'm trying to say. Like I shouldn't pin that kind of identity on somebody over their views on something. Is what I'm trying to say necessarily.
He's mistaken. Okay, what's a bad person?
It just depends. Like bad is sort of a relative term, I guess. But I think probably Trump is probably a bad person. You know what I mean? Like,
It's in his genes.
I think pretty much most people on the panel will agree with me on that one. So there you go. I don't know if it's in his genes. I mean, I don't know about genes. I don't bet.
I'm joking.
Yeah, nature. Is nurture or nature? Which one is it?
It's definitely the jeans that he refuses to wear.
Clearly. I mean, let's face it, if he made money in New York through construction, I think we can guess who he was dealing with.
He got booed at the Knicks game last night, though. That was rather satisfying.
Okay.
You think he'd think of himself as I mean, often bad people won't think of themselves as bad.
No, nobody. I don't think anybody probably thinks like some people will say, "Oh, I'm a horrible person" or whatever. But they very, like I don't think that very many people hold that idea about themselves at all. Or they would get, they would do something about it. like if you ever had that evaluation of yourself, usually you would be motivated to kind of do something about it. You wouldn't just stay in that state, but
they can be. It's not. That's why. I mean, they could be wrong about their ideas, or they can be bad, I guess. But they wouldn't think of themselves as bad.
Yeah, like I've learned a lot. I think we've had to deal with that, like during this Trump era, because like I have like a huge amount of people that I've known all my life, including my parents, who are Trump supporters, who I do not think are bad people. But
I'm trying to differentiate bad and wrong about ideas.
Yeah, I have to separate the ideal that they're bad people because they, it's been a lot of cognitive dissonance through this period in our history. in the United States. For me, it's been a big source of cognitive dissonance of like holding two things that like holding the view that if you support Trump, you're to me quite almost intentionally harming other people, and then knowing the people and knowing that they're not people that I think would intentionally harm people. So
I'm just trying to differentiate bad and bad ideas.
it's hard though. That's what I'm saying. It is. I do too, but it's hard. It's hard to do, especially when they seem committed to bad ideals, even when they're shown that their ideals are bad and why.
Okay, let's say a person's bad, then where do you go from there?
There's nothing I can do about it. I'm not nobody's my responsibility that I know of. Even my kids are even grown, so like
Nothing you
Robin,
can do about
what
it.
do you? Sorry,
Mhm.
go ahead.
No, I mean that's an interesting statement. There's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, I mean there's things you can do about it, of course. You just want to. It's difficult, obviously, but you can always. It's the sound of the police.
So because you come to a conclusion there's nothing you can do about it. The only conclusion is that they're bad. Okay. So either they're bad or have bad ideas, and if they're bad, then there's nothing that can really be done.
I don't know.
What do you think of what I was saying earlier, Robin? That to me, I think most people are good people with good intentions. We can have varying degrees of bad ideas, but so I start with that assumption, and whenever I find out something about somebody where it's like they have a off-putting view, I still want to try to hold off. But when it accumulates to a point where it's just like I might not be the person to address them, kind of a thing.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that's exactly like like during the Trump thing. When people like I voted for him the first time in 2016. I hate admitting that, but I have to. But
Trump?
like once we've seen how bad everything was and all the damage he caused, then I have to kind of question people a little bit when you're still supporting him, like because you know better. I would think.
Hold
What I
on,
mean?
hold on, Robin. Did
Yeah.
you just say that you
Yes,
voted for Trump in 20?
yes, I did.
Robin,
I did not know
see,
you did
this
not
is the one bad idea that is going to cloud my entire judgment of you. You're a horrible person. How could you do this?
I'm sorry. Well, I mean, there's that. Like, first of all, I've already admitted it in front of people, so like, there's too many people that already know it's true. So
I
I
didn't
can't.
know that. That's wild. Yeah, I'd love to hear more about that sometime.
Yeah, well,
If you want to go into now, I don't know.
it's not one of my like my shiniest moments in history, like in my time.
I mean, who doesn't have something that they reflect back on and go, oof, I could have done different.
Well, that I know I do too, back like years back. But like this is relatively
Yeah.
close history. But like
Right.
to be fair, I was not like I would say that me giving up the belief in supernatural and accepting the world as physical and dealing with those things changed my perspective a lot on like a lot of views. That just made me have to sit down and go through like who is it that one of the old people that said was it Kant or that sat down and went through like every one of his beliefs. Was it him that did that or
Descartes, probably. I think you're thinking
Descartes?
of. I
Yes,
think therefore I am. Yeah.
yes, Descartes. Like so like when he sat down and took every belief he had and was like looking at it individually. I didn't do it come out with the same conclusion he did. But like I had to do that, like on every level of everything that I have believed most of my life. You know what I mean? Like, and some things I kept, and some things I threw out. and I definitely threw Trump out. I mean, I was convinced of his idiocy long before his term was over. Like as soon as the the pandemic got underway, I realized, oh shit, this guy is a moron.
Huh.
People are going to die because of him. So.
Yep. Yeah, I didn't vote in 2016, and that's gonna be the last election I ever miss. Even if my vote doesn't do much shit in Missouri, by God, I'm gonna show up.
Yeah, I won't be. I've changed a lot of views about even like a whole lot of and like I think that I probably won't ever vote for. I'd say like right now, as of right now, I don't ever plan to vote for another Republican again, just because of the loyalty that they've shown to this man. Like, and I mean, like the loyalty and what they've allowed him to do. So.
Well, did we solve all the world's problems?
Always.
Getting there.
One more.
If we did,
So we seem to figure it out every night, and then we just forget and have to start all over.
Exactly. Like clockwork. Well, I just read Curious George to a GN. Curious George and the Bunny. Curious George thought it was a good idea to, I guess because he's curious, to grab the little bunny out of this cage of bunnies and play hide and seek with the bunny. And then when the bunny ran away, Curious George was sad. Don't worry, that's not the end of the story. He eventually finds the bunny and they are able to play together and they are happy again.
Yes.
Oh, that's a relief.
I wasn't going to be able to sleep without hearing the conclusion. Thank you.
Yeah.
Good one.
And then Curious George realized that he was kind of malnourished, and then he ripped the bunny apart and cooked it over a fire and enjoyed the bunny.
I thought you were going to say something else about how curious George was.
Oh my goodness! At least he didn't boil it in a pot like what was that movie? There's that movie, whatever it is, like woman's like after that married man and she boils their
Fatal
rat.
Attraction.
Yes.
Yep, Fatal Attraction.
And this is why that pervert was ultimately named Curious George. Yeah.
Oh, dear.
Aegean also has this cool flashlight where you can put these, you turn on this little flashlight, but you can put these discs in it that are like stencils for the wall. So you can turn off the light and you can roll the stencils and it'll be like different kinds of food, or it can be animal stencils. And yeah, you can obviously make the beam bigger or smaller in the room depending on how far you are away from the projection surface. So Curious George, ether. Oh man, Family Guy does some really funny Curious George bit. I can't quite remember. I can't quite remember what happens in it. I think it has something to do with the yellow hat wearing owner being a bad person. Family Guy does cure cancer, by the way. Anyone out there who is suffering from cancer, don't worry about what the doctors are telling you, the hospitals are telling you. Family Guy is the only thing that can really guarantee your cancer treatment. So.
Speaking of cancer, another topic. I don't know if you guys have heard this. So they've done some research on this new type of genetic drug. Basically, what they're doing is they're pulling cells off of your skin, and then they turn those into like the stem cells, the kind of stem cells you always stem cells. And they're like growing people's livers and replacing like just like whole fucking body parts that you don't need to have like I don't know, like, so if you get a transplant, you have to take like a non-rejection medication for the rest of your life. Causes all sorts of issues. If this works, rejection medication, it's a pretty fucking huge deal.
That sounds pretty fucking sweet.
Yeah, man.
Sorry, can you say that again for me? Because there was a lot of interruptions from Nev's
Yeah,
sort of background.
it's in England right now. They're on stage 2 of a trial for like a new like genetic drug, like the same way GLP-1 is, right? It operates by like attacking like a protein base of whatever this is for whatever function in the gene sequence, right? So right now they're in stage 2, and they've had people that come in there with like livers that were just completely gone, and they were within like a year they were repaired to 70%. Of the way the liver works, after like another couple of years, it will completely heal. That liver
That's
will be brand new.
that's insane.
It's crazy. And they're already in stage 2. They've only got one more stage to go through, and that's just like figuring out the dosage, and then they're gonna be released.
Well, I
I
think
wish
we
they
should.
could do eyes.
Yeah.
Like that would be great.
Wish they could do
Yeah.
what, Robin?
Ice my eyes. I have
Oh.
the macular degeneration.
Oh.
I'm sure they will. I think they're. I mean, all this like protein-based medication that's coming out, especially since it can be taken from your own body and it's specifically designed for you and you alone, is
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. It's going to change everything.
See, I have macular degeneration, so I get shots in my eyes
Mm-hmm.
every like 6 weeks to keep my eyes from like degenerating any more than they already have.
Yeah. So at some point,
It's
you'll just get.
genetic. My grandma had it. My mom had it. My grandma and my mom both. My mom's already blind, pretty much completely blind. She can't, like she can see very little at all. My grandma was that way too. And
Do you know the name of it at all?
it's called
Yeah, let me find out for you.
If you wouldn't mind, I'd be really interested to know. Yeah. NHS.
Yes, because Simos just went through all that lung.
Yeah. No, I'm on heavy medication for immunosuppressant drugs. Yeah.
Oh, you're on immunosuppressants right now?
Yes, I am. Well, and for the rest of my life. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had like
Oh, you got a lung
double. You
transplant.
had double.
Yeah, yeah.
Then you had both lungs.
Oh,
Yeah, double lung
Holy
transplant. Yeah.
shit.
Yeah, double lung transplant. Yeah.
Damn, that's scary.
Well, I mean, you got to come to terms with the fact you might not wake up. But yeah,
Yeah.
apart from that, it's okay.
He was still grouchy with the nurses, he says. So
Some of them, yeah, two of them. The rest were absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Oh my God, I fell in love with so many of the nurses.
Okay. So in England, protein-based drugs and therapies aimed at liver regrowth. Yeah, this is what there's more on it that I was reading the other day. I'll have to go back and find where I got that from. But this is like just a quick like Google Gemini rundown on what it's talking about. It does list the specific trial in England that this is for.
Right.
This is
Did you,
time
did
of
you, can you give us the link to that or something?
Yeah, I was going to send it to you
Whatever you're
in
reading.
the channel here. Yeah, let's put it in the channel.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Another one chat. Oh, it didn't do a link. Let me copy the link. Because this is just one in Britain. There's like 3 or 4 more going on simultaneously right now in all different countries.
Yeah.
I pay attention to this a lot. All this kind of drug stuff. It's cool. And these protein drugs, man, it's almost like a miracle fucking cure. GLP-1 does way more than just make you thin.
I think it hasn't completed phase 2 yet. The expenditure to Spain.
I think if you just do like a protein drug clinical trial, it'll all protein drug clinical trials.
Those shots, my best friend is on them. She has to have both hips replaced, and she doesn't exercise at all because she can't even walk actually because of her hips. And she's lost like 10 pounds like in the last like maybe a month because I think like I ended up like she doesn't have a credit card, so like I ended up having to she gave me the money and I put it on my credit card for her to order them,
Yeah.
and so it's not been very long that she's had them.
Oh,
And then my aunt
okay.
got those and lost like over 100 and some pounds. Like, she looked like a whole different person.
Okay, I think this might be slightly different to what I was thinking it was. This is still amazing.
Yeah.
Inhibitors to reverse. Yeah, encourage healthy livers. Yeah. Okay. So
what were you thinking? Because there's one of them that
it's not to do with transplants, basically.
yeah. So one of them is that basically they're doing they're doing the tests on it, the clinical trials right now, and it is for people who are not replacing their liver. They've had they've decompensated within like the past 6 months, so they're all like going in there like decompensated in a real bad position, and like 70% of them are like down to like F1 stage or like F1 or F2 stage for fibrosis by the time they're done. It's only like a 6-month trial.
Yeah, I just had a recent like in the last year and a half an ex of mine died of liver disease.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. And that's really cool. I mean, don't get me wrong, that's amazing. And but if you've already got a transplanted organ, then obviously you cannot have your immune system boosted.
Yeah. But like I wonder if they could apply this though, and then once your liver like takes on the correct gene sequence, if you could stop taking the immunosuppressant at that point though.
I don't think they're going to be testing for that too soon.
Probably not. That'll be probably more like people trying it on their own.
Well, I wouldn't go
I
there with
wouldn't, but
it, especially.
there are people out there.
But yeah, maybe, maybe if your situation is desperate enough and you're coming to the end of the life of the your particular transplant. So, for instance, the immunosuppressant drugs badly affect your liver.
Yeah, I mean,
and
like
not your liver, your kidney.
Yeah.
And so it's pretty routine that transplant patients, after a number of years, will have to have their liver replaced,
Yeah.
their kidney replaced in order to keep taking the immunosuppressant drugs.
Yep.
I'm really lucky that I'm on the most minimum dosage possible.
Yeah.
So my immune system doesn't need to be kicked down too much to accept the liver, to accept the lungs, I should say.
Yeah.
I'm very fortunate. So,
and then we'll see what.
It's amazing, though. That is incredible, isn't it?
It really is. It really is. And then when CRISPR finally starts like producing stuff, holy moly!
Absolutely.
I've got
Okay,
to
well,
run to the restroom. So, like, if y'all,
it's time for me to go as well. So, thank you, Robin. Always a pleasure. Thank you,
Yes.
Travis, and great to see Hizzle. Thank you, Scott, especially for that new information. And I won't thank Thomas because he's deafened himself. So,
well, Scott can
there we
tell
are.
him. Scott can tell him.
Yeah, if he was here, I'd say,
He's eating right now.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. He says he might be eating, but what I think he's doing is getting some balls on his chin. Okay, that's it. See you later, guys. Thank you.
Bye, Famos.
Bye.
That's funny. I don't know where Travis went. Like I can't. Like Travis, you ready to end the live?
Oh, he's playing with the kiddo, probably.
No, no. Like he left us on live. I think we're still. I don't know. Are we still live?
We're still live, yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess we better talk. Like
Well, I'm just gonna end the live, I guess.
you can end it.
I think so, yeah. Let me see.
No, there you
there's- No, I don't think I can end it actually. No.
Sorry, I didn't have my mic plugged in. Yeah, I had a phone call, and I had to step away for a second. But yeah, I'm shutting her down right now. So
Okay.
thanks, everyone. It's definitely Tav time.
Yeah. I got to run the restroom and I'll be back. But
yeah,
that was good.
Yeah,
good
it was
live.
fun. Yeah, thanks, Robin. Thanks everyone who engaged today, and remember to be maximizing well-being for yourself and those around you out there. And